Hey, how you doing? Hope you all are doing great. As you seen in the thumbnail, in this video, we are gonna see, imagine Naruto born in total drama and had harem. This is part 4 and before getting into video, I request you to check the author of this fanfic, and show some love and support. Name of the story is, What a Dramatic Life by Mumei Mu. Do check it out. All details in description, and if you want next part of this series, please leave a like, share, and consider subscribe. Let's get into the video. Also check out Patreon for uncensored spicy content. Link in description. Doc. Last time on Total Drama Island, our campers had a lot of good time. Chris grinned, there was a cook-off, slow dance, couple of team buildings, and sport. During these, we just witnessed our first hook-up, footage of Katie kissing Cody's cheek, bitter nerd's revenge, footage of Harold rigged the votes, and eliminated camper. On Dock of Shame, we just merged the teams and there was a huge twist. Chris makes a big gesture with his arms, two campers made their comeback, one of them become a nightmare and traumatized the poor nerd before send him off the island. It's too scary. Too scary. Harold wailed in the footage and the host chuckled. Now with Naruto and Izzy back here again, things are going to heat up tonight. It's going to give us lot of questions. What challenges will we have? Who will hop aboard the boat of losers? How will our three certain campers get along under one roof? Find out tonight on Total Drama Island. Main Lodge. So how was your first night with the girls, Datbeo? Naruto asked, placing a bowl on top of stacking bowls as Bridget sat down in front of him. Well, it wasn't kinda bad. The surfer said. It was really nice to have some girl company and only one con about it was. That's enough ramen for now, idiot. Bridget sighed as Heather stomped over to Naruto and pulled him away from the bowls. Since the surfer moved in, all the queen bee did was just giving her a glare and mocking her when Bridget had her clumsy moment. One more bowl. Naruto pouted, only to receive a glare from his childhood friend. Okay, I'll wait until next supper. The redhead sighed dejectedly as some campers snickered at him. Hallelujah. Chef muttered, wiping some sweats off his face. He may like the brat but the cooker can't keep up with Naruto's pace. Izzy, I'm curious about something. Katie said as she turns to the crazy girl, how did you escape the RCMP's manhunt? Oh, that's easy. Izzy giggled. I'm a wildness survivor and swift-footed, so it was easy to avoid them. She paused to take a bite out of a raw fish as some campers make grimace faces at the sight. After escaping them, it was just me and my animal brethren against the harsh elements. Harsh. Lashana snorted. It was sunny and warm most of time, aside from the nametag challenge. The memories of the said challenge were still fresh on their mind before Izzy replied back. Not where I was, but luckily, I was able to take a refuge in the beaver dam and befriended the family of beavers. Then after that, the interns found me and bring me back here. Izzy giggled and the campers give her weird looks. Gwen opened her mouth to say something but the loudspeaker cut her off with a squeak. Campers, report to He amphitheater after breakfast and you will learn all about today's challenge. McLean out. Well, you hear him. Duncan stood up with a grunt. Let's go and see what it's going to be. Yeah, good luck to you guys, Datbeo. Naruto chuckled as he walks out of the main lodge with some campers. Stage. Welcome to your next challenge. Chris grinned at the campers as they take their seats in man-made multi-level panel, which was made out of desks, table, and crates with varies of chairs. The time-honored game of torture. Say, Uncle. You are all about to be put through test of endurance so insane had some of them sent our interns to the emergency room. The campers gulped with nervous expression. If you back down from the challenge or do not last the required 10 seconds, you will be eliminated. The winner will not only be safe from elimination, but will win this luxurious trailer, yours to take home at the end of summer. What kinds of torture? Lashana glared at the host with hands on her hips. Why don't you ask my lovely assistant? Chris smirked as Chef shows up with hockey mask and cleaver, earning some frightened faces from the campers. All right, let's do this. Duncan, you're first up. The host turns to the poor maid wheel. Let's spin the wheel of misfortune to select your torture. Chris spun the wheel and the punk stares at it with widened eyes before it stopped on the picture of turtle. Turtle. Duncan raised one of his eyebrows. How can it be bad since it's just a turtle? Turtle punk shots. Chris said with a chuckle, Our intern spent weeks collecting the grumpiest, angriest, cruelest, hungriest old snapping turtles on the island. While you stand in the goalie net completely unprotected, Chef will fire off turtle snap shots. Duncan paled as he glanced at Chef, wielding a hockey stick, standing behind the snapping turtles before the host pushed the punk to the front of the goalie net. If I were you, dude, I'd protect my coconuts. This would get ugly. Rhys laughed before he ran away from the firing range and Duncan gulped. Be careful, buddy, Owen called out from his seat. If you can stay in for 10 seconds, you'll go on the second round. Chris saw it as the timer buzzed and Chef launched the turtles at the punk. Duncan ducked under the first turtle, but one of the turtles bit his arm, caused him to cry out in pain. Ooh, look like it hurts a lot. Katie winced, watching on as the turtles hit the punk before the last turtle bit his crotch. And this one hurt more than you think. DJ groaned as the males covered their family jewelries. Duncan moves on the next round. Chris chuckled, isn't this fun? Yeah, it's a riot. The punk groaned sarcastically with a glare. Naruto shakes his head at them, noticing the musician giving the goth girl an apology about leaving her buried alive during the fear challenge. The redhead raised his eyebrows, he thought they made up a while ago. Glad that you think so. The host returned to the wheel with a grin before spinning it. Next up, Lindsay. Please, please. Lindsay whispered to herself with crossed fingers as Owen glanced at her with concern before the needle stopped on a picture of flaming marshmallow. Marshmallow waxing, the host said as Chef brings out the bags of marshmallow and pours them in the pot, melting them down. We're gonna wax every part of your body. If you can take the pain for full 10 seconds, you can go to the next level. Oh, I so need this. Lindsay giggled as she lies on the table. I've been doing with nasty razor stubble for weeks. She glanced at Chef with a smile, turning to offset my tan, K. The cooker just tossed the melted marshmallow on her face, drawing out a muffled scream as the campers watch on in shock. As soon as it reached 10 seconds, Chef peeled the wax off and the bombshell cried out in pain from having her stubbles torn out. Ouch, that had to hurt. Trent winced, I don't think I would have made it through that one. That's because guys are total wimps. Gwen smirked. When it comes to two things, beauty and pain. You got that right. Oh my gosh. Lindsay gasped, feeling the smoothness of her face. I can't believe how smooth that is. Thank, Chip. It's Chris, the host groaned as the bombshell returned to her seat. Well done, Lindsay, since you didn't even complain once, you get to choose who goes next. No, thank, Lindsay saw it before Heather leans down and whispering in her ear. Wait, I changed my mind. I choose Bridget with lake leeches. Bridget paled and the smirking queen bee gave her a cutthroat gesture. Chef dropped the barrel, filled with leeches, in front of the seated campers and gives it a few pats. He is off limit, klutzy. Heather growled at the surfer girl. Who's off limit? Naruto whispered T. Owen and the oaf's answer was just a facepalm. Confession. I know that I'm kind of dense when it comes to certain things. Owen sighed, but Naru really takes a cake. Speaking of cakes, I am so starving for one now. The oaf holds his growling stomach with a grin. All right, Bridget, time's a-wasting. Chris grinned, get your butt in the barrel of leeches. Naruto glanced at the shaken surf. Girl and feel something in his stomach that makes him uncomfortable for some reason. Bridget stood up and walks toward the barrel before the redhead suddenly stand up with his hands on the desk. No, wait, I'll take her place. Naruto called out and his outburst earned a lot of different reactions. Ah, that is so sweet. Lindsay gushed and Owen nodded with her. Idiot, what are you doing? Heather snarled. Why does he have to step in for this floozy girl? Oh, and if your victim can last 10 seconds without saying uncle, you get eliminated instead. Which means you lose your chance to win this. Chris said with a grin. Gesturing at the trailer and Naruto just walk over to the barrel as Bridget just look at him with a small smile. The redhead stepped inside the barrel and just grinned at the campers. You know, it's not bad at all, Datbeo. Naruto chuckled as the leeches just swim around him. Confession. Oh come on, that counts as cheating. Gwen deadpanned, I'm more Serp. Rise that Chris just forget that Naruto have a way with animals and living things. Static. I can't believe I forget about that. Chris smacked his head. Now, Katie, the host chuckled, your challenge is, pet the bear. The tanned girl gasped in horror as the bear walks on stage with a growl. All you do is just petting him for 10 seconds and move on to next stage. Nice bear, Katie stuttered. Inching closer to the bear before the creature roared her, causing the tanned girl to faint on the spot. Ooh, that's bad, for her. Chris laughed and some campers glared at him as Chef carried the fainted girl to her chair. If she wakes up, tell her to stock herself up with the wooden stock. After several rounds which got DJ eliminated, the host chuckled at covered Bridget before he give the wheel another spin and the needle landed on picture of footprint. Our next challenge will be spending 10 seconds in a wooden crate with Sasquatchoniqua. Chris chuckled, turning to the campers, tough luck. Bridget, you haven't complained in a while so you can choose the next victim. Heather, the surfer girl said without missing a beat. You'll regret it. The queen bee growled before glances at Naruto, idiot. Don't bother stepping in for me. You sure, he-chan. Actually, I will not allow him to step in if there's animal or any creatures involved. Chris inputted, it's not fun if there are no tortures at all. He turns his head to see Chef pushing in a huge rattling crate. Now, Heather, if you please. The host chuckled before Heather walk in as Naruto and Lindsay watch on with concerned expressions. There was a high-pitched shriek, followed by a sound of thump and the sneering queen bee walks out after 10 seconds. What just happened in there? Owen asked as Chef and CHR. Is look inside to see a whimpering Sasquatch holding his crotch. Ooh, medic. The host called out before turns to Bridget as the stock locked on her. Sorry, girl, but you're out of the game. Yes, Ather whispered to herself with a smirk before give the surfer girl a wave. Sucks to be you right now. Now let's see who showed less courage than Heather and say uncle. Chris laughed, spinning the W. Heel and the remaining campers glances at each other with sweats. Trent, Gwen, Owen, Heather, Duncan, and Lindsay joined the eliminated group after another round of Wheel of Misfortune and it was Izzy's turn as Chef picks up the eels. Remember, you have to last 10 seconds by taking a jolt from the eels, clear. Chris reminded the crazy girl before the cooker electrified her with the eels. That was great, hit me again. Izzy laughed and Chef just shrugged before electrified her again as she laughs. Izzy, who's your next victim? Chris asked with a grin. Ooh, me. The crazy girl raised her hand in air with a giggle. With the poison ivy spa treatment. Confession. Is it just me or is that girl some kinda crazy? Lashana asked with raised eyebrow as she tapping her temple. Static. If she gets together with Whiskers. It's going to be crazy, if you know what I mean. Duncan chortled. Chris pulls out his phone before calling the producers about Izzy's request. It's Chris. Yeah, she wants to do it, okay. The host turns to the crazy girl with raised eyebrow. The judges will allow it, but they wanna know why. I just wanna see how it feels. Izzy answered with a grin and tea. Here was silence between her and the host. Alrighty then, Chris muttered, somewhat bewildered, as Chef wrapping the poison ivy around the crazy girl's head. The host checked his time before glance at the cooker. Time's up. Remove the poison ivy. No. Izzy waved them off. It feels great. You stuck it out, but sadly, you eliminated yourself. Chris take a few steps back away from the crazy girl. Why does he always attaching the crazy people? Look how big my lips are. Izzy giggled as she pokes her swollen face. Okay, Naruto, Lashana. Chris glanced at the last two campers before shifting his eyes to the camera. After 20 rounds of torture, we're down to 2 steely competitors in the sudden death round. Confession. I did not make it this far to quit now. Lashana said, Hat trailer is bank and it's got my name written all over it. Whatever he got to throw at me, I'm gonna do. Static. It seems that the challenge today was really short or is it just me, Dadbayo? Naruto asked with tilted head. Lashana, it's up to you. Chris grinned, your final challenge is the grizzly bear log roll. The grizzly bear say what? Lashana gasped. Roar, snarl, and growl. Naruto said and the sassy girl rolled her eyes. That was a rhetorical question. Doc. The host and the campers walk over to the end of the dock to see a smirking bear, standing on top of the log. Meet. Chris was about to say something but Naruto interrupted him with a wide grin as he waved at the bear. Molotov. The bear's eyes widened and jump on the dock to give the redhead a hug as the campers stared at them with dropped jaws. I don't see you for a while. Molotov nodded at Naruto before licking his face, causing him to laugh. You know this bear, Lashana muttered. Yet, I used to work with Molotov when the Russian circus came to Canada for their tour and it was about 3 years ago. Naruto chuckled. Hey, I'm talking here. Chris grunted with glare before the host clears his throat. To summary what Naruto just said, Molotov, the bear, performs with Russian National Circus. He's also has been the European log rolling champion for the past 12 years. Molotov hopped on the log and starts to rolling it. To win, you must last 10 seconds on the log while avoiding certain death in the piranha-infested water. What the fuck? Duncan said with widened eyes as the pier. Anna's jumped out of the waters with a snarl. Lashana glared at the smirking bear in a stare-off before Chris popped over at her side with a grin. Lashana, you could back out now. No way, I've seen scarier-looking faces at the mall. The sassy girl glared. I'm going in. Chris watches on as Lashana takes her place on the log before snapped his fingers with a grin. And go. Whoa. Lashana cried out, attempting to keep up with the bear as the log rolls around under her feet. She take a glance at Molotov to see him smirking at her, causing Lashana to growl before running harder. And Naruto can see that the bear was starting to get worrying. The sassy girl stomped her feet, halting the rolling log, and it caused Molotov to fall down on his groin. The bear whimpered as he rolls into the water by the log before come out furless, courtesy of the piranhas. That's how I roll. Lashana wins. So Naruto is out. Chris chuckled and the redhead just shrugged his shoulders since it was a sudden death round. Since Lashana wins the challenge, she gets invincibility and the grand prize. The host gestured at the trailer with Chef in model costume. Yes, baby. Woo. The sassy girl cheered. Congratulate. Naruto chuckled, watching Lashana toss Chef away and hugging her new trailer. While Lashana checks out her trailers full of food, and we check out her blood pressure. Chris turns to the campers. The rest of you can go to the confessional booth and vote off a camper other than Lashana. Whatever. Just get me out of this. Heather snarled, struggling to get out of the stock. Campfire. Chef howled at the moon on the cliff and the campers raised their eyebrows at the odd scene before Chris starts to speak to them. Okay. So first up, we ran out of marshmallows. No. Owen screamed, flailing his arms around. I've reviewed the confessionals to prevent another rig votes. We don't want Naruto bring his hunter persona back, right guys? Chris chuckled as the nodding campers glance at chuckling redhead with gulps. While I normally protect your privacy. Not really since the cameras are everywhere, even in the bathroom. Naruto said and the host glared at him. Anyway, I'm gonna go live with your confessionals. Chris smirked as the screen appeared next to him from above. Confession. Bridget. Heather grunted with crossed arms. I don't need to explain my reasons at all. Static. I vote for Katie. Duncan shrugged. Things are going to be bloody and I don't want her to get tied up in this, princess, if you're watching that. Miss you, babe. Static. I don't know. Naruto scratched his head. I like everyone here. Static. Katie. Gwen crossed her arms. Nothing against her. Static. Heather. Bridget rolled her eyes. Static. I'll choose Katie. DJ sighed. She told me that she really missed her best friend and Cody, so I guess it would be for the best to vote for her. Static. Lindsay hummed to herself as she applied the lip gloss before blinked at the camera. Oh, I forget I was here, Kate. Static. Me. Katie sighed. It's just that I really miss Sadie and Cody a lot. Static. Naruto furrowed his eyebrows. Hurry up in there, idiot. Heather's voice shouted from outside. Oh, Katie. Sorry, it's really hard to pick. Naruto sighed. Katie smiled. She don't mind if most of them voted for her because she was not the one to hold grudge against anyone. Well, in the end, it's 10 votes for Katie. So adios. Chris said, kinda disappointed that it don't stir up any kind of drama at all. Bye, guys. The tan. Ned girl waved at the campers before walk down to the dock of shame, can't waiting to see Sadie and her boyfriend. Dock of shame. Katie. The tanned girl blinked before gasped to see Sadie standing in the boat of loser with Cody. Sadie. Cody. She gushed as she hopped on the boat and hugging them both. I miss you too. Me too, Kat. Cody grinned at her. I'm so jealous of you. You get boyfriend first before me. Sadie giggled and Katie blushed with a smile. They kept hugging and chatting as the boat of losers carries them away from the island. "Aw, that's so sweet." Izzy giggled with her fellow W campers as they watched the ship disappeared into the fog. "Anyway, party at Lashana's trailer." "Wait, what?" the sassy girl cried out, turning to see the campers ran to her trailer. "Yo, get away from my baby." Lashana's trailer. Does anyone else think that the challenge was short and little rushed today? Gwen asked and some campers nodded as they raiding the mini fridge, ignores Lashana's protesting. "Yeah, maybe they ran out of idea or something like that." DJ said. "Who care?" Owen chuckled, "We have party here so don't sweat about the challenge." Some campers grinned at the oaf and Lashana sighed. She doesn't mind as long as no one break a thing in her brand new trailer. Chris trailer. Chef entered the trailer with frown and raised one of his eyebrows at his boss. "What gives?" The C. Uker crossed his arms as Chris blinked at him. It was supposed to be 30 seconds instead of 10 seconds and some of the challenges were too easy, so what's going on? Nothing, I'm rushing it because, I have a hot date coming up, yeah. A hot date. The host chuckled nervously with sheepish grin and Chef lifted his index finger to call bullshit on him but the ranging of phone cut him off as Chris quickly answer it. "Hello. Chris here, it is. Can you check it again?" "Thank. Who was it?" Chef asked as the host put his phone away. "The producers, just something that I need for one of the challenges." Chris grinned at him and the cooker stares at him for a while before shrugging his shoulders. "Whatever," Chef mumbled as he steps out of the trailer, never noticing the host faceplanted his desk with a furious groan. Outside. A few days went by and it was morning. Lashana steps out of her trailer with a yawn, and sit down on her lounge chair before resting on her arms with a smile. She GLANCES at the dock and smirking as Gwen blushing at Trent, this girl is so crushing on him with denial. Lashana blinked, hearing something whistling in air before there was an explosive behind her, CA. Using her eyes to widen and turn to see, nothing but burning remaining of her trailer. "What the fuck?" Lashana shouted out of rage, she bet that Chris has something to do with it. Mateys, meet me at the amphitheater in 5 minutes. The host chuckled with his megaphone, and I'll tell you about today's challenge. "Ooh, this," Lashana mumbling under her breath as some campers come up to check on her. Stage. Chris, in a pirate costume, smirked as he glances at the scowling sister stomping to the benches and sat down with crossed arms. "Well, my little scallywags, have we got an adventure in store ye?" the host said before fixing his plastic parrot. "Say what? I don't understand you, Datbayo." Naruto scratched his head, and what's under the sheet? "Too bad, laddie," Chris glared at the redhead before glancing at the campers with a grin, who here has a hankering for a good old-fashioned treasure hunt. Gwen rolled her eyes and the host glared at her. "Now this treasure hunt's got a twist, mateys." Chris chuckled, "What you're looking for isn't hidden, and isn't treasure. If there's no treasure, then what's with the eye patch and the plastic parrot?" Duncan said with raised eyebrow. Shiver me timbers." The host said as he tossed the parrot away. "Good question, me boy. Is the twist that we have to find the keys for the treasures, Datbayo?" Naruto raised his hand in air. "How did you know?" Chris blinked as some campers glanced at the redhead. "How did he get it right?" The redhead rubbed his head. "Lucky guess." "Well, he's right." Chris cleared his throat aft. Chef yanked the sheet away to reveal the chests. "Inside each of these chests is a treasure that will pamper you, landlubbers, and one of these chests will even give you invincibility." "Ha ha." The host laughed as the cooker grabs the bucket. "Now come round and pull a clue out of this bucket or you'll have to walk the prank." Confession. Someone watch one too many pirates movie or whatever. Gwen deadpanned. "These clues will tell ye where your key be stowed." Chris grinned as the campers pick out their clues from the bucket and glanced at them. Bear." Owen gulped, glancing at the age of bear on his chosen clue before the host appeared at his side with a grin. "I was hoping you'd get that one, dude." Chris shifted his attention to Heather's clue. "Chef's fridge, nice. I hear he brushes it daily for fingerprints. Because someone here has been raiding my fridge for weeks." Chef grunted, never noticing the fact that Owen was whistling innocently with shifty eyes. The host peeked over Duncan's shoulder and give him a wide grin after saw the punk's clue. "That there is the septic tank for the washrooms." Meh, I can live with that. Duncan muttered with a shrug, nothing can be worse than the juvie's sewer that he used to sneak out of the juvie few times. Ooh, look like Naruto is lucky. Chris chuckled as he takes a glance at Naruto's clue, all he has to do is just taking the key from Flaming Hoop. Awesome. Datbeo. The redhead chuckled and Heather growled, she really wishes that she have his devil's luck, how the hell can she get the key when Chef is guarding his own fridge? All you scallywags. Chris speak up after checking every camper's clues, go find your keys and bring them back by 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to open up the chest and get your loot. Fare thee well, young scallywags. He grinned at them with a wave before scowled at the confusing campers, get to it. Confession. I don't know who came up with these lame-o challenges, Heather said with narrowed eyes, and memo to Chris. These pirates' tights do not exactly flatter your legs, savvy. Static. Woohoo. Owen hollered with fist pump, I am all about the treasure hunt. His attitude just flipped. From excitement to nervous as he poked his index fingers together, the bears are a little concerning, but there's treasure. Static. Let's see, Naruto mumbled, flipping through a pirate to English directory book. Campfire. Naruto smirked, stretching his legs as he stares at the flaming hoop with hanging key and ran up to it before flipping in air and grabbed the key at ease. Too easy, Datbeo. The redhead chuckled, juggling his key. Naruto's experiences seemed to be helping him with his challenge. Chris' voice announced from the loudspeaker. Hey, bro. Trent called out, catching Naruto's attention as he turns to see the musician walk up to him with a smile. I'm supposed to get the key from the lake, but there are sharks around, and since you fed them regularly, what do they usually eat? Oh, just some raw meats, fishes are their favorite, Datbeo. The redhead grinned. I owe you one. Trent chuckled, walking off with a wave as Naruto nodded at him. Main lodge. Heather nervously walks into the kitchen. Her eyes scanning for Chef and slowly opening the fridge before turns her head to see the glaring cooker with the cleaver in his hand inside. Ellipsis. The queen bee slowly closed the door and just walks away with frightened expression on her face. Outside. Idiot, I need your help. Heather muttered, walking with Lindsay at her side with the rope. Sure, I can see that Chef is giving you a hard time, Datbeo. Naruto chuckled and the queen bee scowled at him. Yeah, listen, here's my plan, Heather said with crossed arms. Main lodge. Chef polished high chainsaw as he kept taking glances at everything. No punk is going to touch his fridge and get away with it. Hey, Chef. The cooker looked up to see Naruto walk in with a grin and sighed at the redhead. What do you want, brat? It's not supper time yet. Well, Naruto scratched his head, I'm kind of curious if you can tell me a couple of war stories. Why? Chef raised one of his eyebrows. Because why challenge was too easy and I'm bored now, everyone is busy, Datbeo. The cooker stares at the redhead for a while before shrugged his shoulders. Sure, there was a mission that my units took, Chef started to rambles on. Not even noticing Heather slowly lowered down on a rope from a hole in ceiling. The queen bee slowly tiptoed to the fridge, opened it without making a noise before taking the key and returning to the rope. The enemy screamed like that, Chef acted out with a screams, which covered up Lindsay's screaming as Heather dropped her key and she gasped silently before flipping upside down to catch the key. Whoa, that's awesome, Datbeo. Naruto grinned, the queen bee doesn't know if it was either directed to her or the psycho cooker's story as Lindsay slowly pulled her out of the kitchen. Woods. Gwen smirked as she pulled the key out from the skunk's hole after flushing out the skunk with water, with Trent's help. She stood up and before Trent knows it, Gwen kissed him. They both never saw scowling Heather and confusing Lindsay hide behind the bushes as they stopped kissing and walk away together with smiles. Confession. That's just too much. Heather snarled with tightened fists. Everyone knows that boyfriend-girlfriend is just another way to say alliance. She crossed her arms, and the only alliance on this island is me and IDI, the queen bee stuttered. Somewhere in the forest, DJ hugged the branch with a shiver as he looked at the hanging key with chattering teeth. Why me? The giant whined. Bathroom. Duncan stares at the toilet and shrugged. To himself before the punk tossed a cherry bomb in the toilet. He took a few steps back before the toilet blew up, knocking up the dust, and it took a few seconds until it cleared up to revealing a large gaping hole. Duncan chuckled. Jumped inside and crawling toward the septic tank. Cave. Crap. Owen gulped as the sleeping bear cuddled with him like if he was just a teddy bear. Woods. Naruto covered his yawning mouth. Chef told him to beat it after share a few stories, so he decided to take a stroll in the forest. Whiskers time. The redhead paled, and before he can react, the familiar Ands rubbed on his cheek with furious speed. Oh. Naruto purred and Izzy giggled at his face before the redhead stopped her hands with blush. SS Santo. Naruto blinked at the crazy girl. Is that a snake on you? Yet. He's really cute and feisty. Izzy giggled as the snake bit her head again, earning a sigh from the redhead. I miss you so much, you and your whiskers. The crazy girl grinned widely and Naruto scratched his head with blush on his face. Why yeah, I figure that much when you just rubbed my whiskers too long, wait. Naruto cried out, attempting to dodge Izzy's outreaching hands. Doc, okay. We've got to break up Trent and Gwen. Heather growled, watching on as Lindsay pulls herself out of the water with bee stings all over her body. Here's the plan, I need you to go, the queen bee blinked. What happened to you? Izzy tried to help. Bee stinging, terror, lost key, Lindsay sobbed. The crazy girl helped her by taking the key from Beehive, but somehow the bees went after the bombshell for no reason and chase her off the dock. To make it worse, she lost her key somewhere. Yeah, Heather mumbled. Now here's the plan. First I need you to write a letter to Gwen, then after this, you have to find Trent and lead him to me, watch for Gwen, and give me the signal. You can count on me. Lindsay said with another wince. Cave. Crap. Owen paled as the sleeping bear placed his opening mouth over the oaf's head. Woods. Bridget smiled at a cute rabbit. The creature was guarding the key and the surfer take a few steps before the rabbit roared with fangs. Bridget screamed as she climbed the tree to get away from the scary rabbit. When did rabbits have fangs? The surfer girl whined in her head, glancing at the rabbit hopping around the key. Doc. Heather tapping her foot on the dock with crossed arms and checked her watch. Where is she? I know I couldn't count on her. She snarled before noticing Lindsay bringing Trent, and the queen bee turns around to get ready for her act. I just don't know what's up with Heather. Lindsay told the musician as she gesturing at crying Heather, maybe you should go talk to her. Trent nodded his head and walked toward the queen bee. Heather. What's wrong? The musician asked. Nothing. Heather sniffled and turns around. Well, I don't wanna sound like a sucker or anything, but Gwen just been so mean to me and I just don't get why. She throws herself on Trent. I don't think I can go on. Heather pushes him away and sobbing on the dock post. Gwen's just kind of a hard girl to get to know, that's all. Don't take it personally, Trent said as he patting her shoulder, wondering why she don't go to Naruto and guess maybe it's something that she don't want the redhead to know about her problem. Heat. Her hugged the musician with another sob. I'm just so surprised to hear you supporting her, you know. After all the horrible things that she says about you and, oops. What? Trent gasped with widened eyes as he pushes her back. What do you mean? I feel so terrible telling you this. I promised I wouldn't say a word, but, you should know that Gwen confided in the girls last week that she can't LLY stand you and think you're a total cliché, your music sucks, and she's only stringing you along to get further in the game. But, Trent stuttered, I thought me and Gwen had a real connection. Gwen is just playing you for your vote. Heather said as she buried her face in hands, she played us all, and you're just so nice that I can't watch you fall for it anymore. Wow, the musician sighed. And all this time I thought she liked me, she really said my music sucks. Heather nodded her head and she heard the bird call from Lindsay before take a hold on Trent's face. Maybe Gwen thinks your music sucks. But I think you're really talented. The musician was about to say something, but the queen bee covered his mouth with her hand before she kissed the back of her hand, causing him to blink at her. Heather peeked out of the corner of her eyes to see Gwen gasped at them with teary eyes. From the view of the goth girl, it looked like Trent was kissing the queen bee with his arms around her. And dropped her love letter as she ran off with silent sob. Heather pushed the musician away before walk away from him with a smirk and glanced back to see Trent screaming on the beach. Excellent. Single quote. Cave. Infinity crap. Owen whined as the bear wake up with angry glare. Woods. Oh, what happened to you guys, Datbeo? Naruto gasped at the beaten and injured crocodiles. One of them whimper. D to him, and the redhead blinked at them before pulls out a bandage wraps. Well, just let me patch you up. Bathroom. Duncan grunted as he crawled out of the hole with Key. He was wrong, it's worse than the juvie sewer. Duncan. The punk blinked as he looks up to see Lashana. We need you in alliance so we can vote either Trent or Heather out. Huh, why? Duncan frowned. Trent just cheated on Gwen. The sister growled. And to make it worse, it was Heather. Are you going to tell the others? The punk scowled and Lashana nodded. Yet, I'm going to get everyone in the alliance. Wait, just tell Naruto to vote Trent out. Duncan said, and the sassy girl blinked before give him a nod. It's better to not tell Naruto about Heather since they're close and everyone know that the redhead would nay. Veer vote against his friends until otherwise. Woods. All right, campers, meet me at the campfire in 10 and bring your keys. Chris' voice squeaked out of the loudspeaker. Well, I'm off then. Nar. Yuto grinned at his crocodile friends and turns around to see Lashana ran up to him. What's up, Lashana? The sassy girl leans in and whispered in his ear as the redhead's eyes widened before frowned. Confession. I can't believe that Trent cheated on Gwen. Naruto growled, she really don't deserve that. He crossed his arms with narrowed eyes. Trent is now on my revenge prank list. Static. I did my bit. Lashana sneered. I've told everyone who listened about those two-timers. Well, I only told Naruto about Trent. Either way, one of them is history. Campfire. The group stands away from Duncan. Covering their noses, and the punk rolled his eyes. Why does everyone kept overreacting over a little smell? Hey guys, whoa, what stinks? Izzy said as she joined the group, and they blinked at the snake on her head. Izzy. You've got a snake on your head. DJ gulped, stepping away from her. I know, but don't worry, he's friendly. Izzy giggled before the snake bit her and the campers gasped. See, kisses. The crazy girl grinned before fainted from the bite. Yar, it'd be time to claim your treasure. Chris chuckled as the campers check on Izzy, who's fortunate enough to bear a precious key. Come forth with it. Duncan grinned before walk up to one of the chest and unlocked it. The punk opened the chest and blinked as he picks up new cologne. Is this the best you can do? Duncan glared at the smirking host. My key won't open any chests. Owen said, and the campers blinked at him since he was halfway out of the bear's mouth. Oh yeah, Chris laughed. I forget to mention that some of keys don't open up any chests. Oh come on. Owen whined before jabbed his thumb at the bear. Can you at least do something about him? 2 tranquilizer shots hit the bear, but one of them hit the oaf before they dropped to the ground. I get some candies and chips, Datbeo. Naruto chuckled, not bad. Oh, and look, an invincibility pass. Lucky me. Heather smirked, waving her prize around, and some campers frowned at her. That's great, He-chan. No wonder why Chef was really fixed on the fridge, Datbeo. Naruto smiled as he ruffled her head before the queen bee swatted his hand away with light blush. Trent smiled as he pulls out soda bottles and shows them to the campers, only to have them glance away from him. I hope everyone got their treasure they were looking for, and more. Chris said after seeing that all the campers tried their keys and only DJ and Bridget didn't get their treasures. But now it's your time to do your duty and send one of you off the island for good. So cast your votes. And I'll see ye Buccaneers back at the campfire after the sundown. Ha, arranged by. Confession. Look like Trent is going down. Lashana said with a snap of fingers. Static. TR. Ent. Owen said dazed before fall down on the filthy floor. Static. You messed up, dude. Duncan pointed at the camera with scowl. Static. I'm going to make you fear the corncob. Naruto juggled the corncob in his hand. Static. You leave us no choice. Bridget shrugged. Static. I really feel like I made such awesome friends here and it's hard for me to vote anyone off. Trent smiled. Static. I'm really getting into this game. Heather checked her nails with a smirk. I can play those losers like a violin. Static. Fear the corncob. Chef shivered. Chef, why are you inside? Chris' voice speak from outside. Beware the corncob. I'll leave you here, alone. What the host didn't know that Naruto just told the cooker about the infamous corncob prank when they were swapping the stories. Campfire. And now the moment we've all waited for, the moment of truth. Chris said with arms behind his back, marshmallow time. You know the routine, whoever doesn't get a marshmallow, it's curtains for you. Most of the campers glared at oblivious Trent as the host tossed the marshmallow. Gwen. I'm outie. The said goth girl catch her marshmallow and walk away from the campfire dejectedly. She can't stand being around this cheater. Some campers look at her with concern and Chris shrugged his shoulders before calling out their names. Izzy, Duncan, Lashana, Lindsay, Bridget, Naruto. The redhead stood up and walks away as some campers raised their eyebrows at him, but Chris just continued his announcement. DJ, Owen. Marshmallows for the lot of you. Trent blinked, noticing that. He was only one that doesn't get a marshmallow and released a gasp. Sorry, dude, you're out. That's right, take your two-timers ways back to where you come from. Lashana chuckled at the musician. What? Trent gripped his chest. But I thought I was getting along so well with everybody. I guess you were wrong. Heather smirked. You just don't care about your man. The sassy girl snarled. Just playing the game. The queen bee waved it away. What's going on? Trent asked with hands on his head. Quit acting, man. DJ crossed his arms with frown. Yeah, you cheated on Gwen with Heather. Lashana yelled. What? The musician yelled. Where did you get this from? From Gwen, she saw you kissing her. The sassy girl pointed at the queen bee. But we never did kiss at all. She just covered my mouth with her hand and did this. Trent said as he kissed the back of his hand. PFF'd, like the hell I'm going to kiss this John Lennon wannabe. Heather scoffed, I'm not going to throw my first kiss away. Wait, that mean? Lashana widened her eyes with the campers. I got to tell Gwen. The musician shouted before Chris shoves him into Chef's arms with a grin. Enough of these, you have an appointment at the dock of shame and Chef is dying to take you out for a lovely ride. Wait, Trent cried out as Chef tossed him over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes and carried him to the dock of shame. I got me a pretty boy. The cooker joked with a chuckle. Oh, you do, you do. Chris snickered as the campers turned around and glared at smug Queen Bee. Woods. Gwen stifled a sob as she curling up in ball. Leaning against the tree, and she doesn't care if it was too cold out because she felt so numb right now. The goth girl let out a whimper before she feels something appeared next to her and Pei eked out of her arms to see Naruto as he sat down next to her. Go away. Gwen muttered, but the redhead doesn't listen to her. Don't you hear me? Just go away. I don't want your damn pity. Gomen, but I'm not leaving you here alone, and that is not pity at all. Naruto said as he slowly placed his arm around her shoulders, and the goth girl flinched. She relaxed, seeing that he never went any further after holding her shoulders. Why are you here? Gwen muttered, fighting her tears back. For you. Naruto replied as the goth girl narrowed her eyes. Like I said, it's not pity, I just want to give you my shoulder to cry on, Datbeo. The redhead gave her a soft smile. But why are you doing that for me? Gwen sniffled, we barely know each other. That's true that we barely know each other, but, Naruto sighed. I just can't stand around and do nothing if someone is in pain. The redhead glanced at her as he rubbed her arm. I really don't want to see you fall apart, so, let it all out, don't hold back. CK, Gwen looks up into his eyes to see that there was no pity, just gentle and understanding. Let it out. The goth girl released a sob before wailing as she buried her face in his shirt. How can he do that to me? Doesn't he know how hard I have to pour out my heart to him? He is a jerk. 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 Gwen sobbed as she hits Naruto's chest with her fists. I thought we had a real connection. Why did he cheat on me after we got together just now? I really believe that he was the one that I can trust. I hate him. Her punches slowly become lightly before she stopped and grasped on his wet shirt. It hurts so much. The goth girl starts to blabbing nonsense into his chest for a while. Gwen, Naruto whispered softly as he stroking her hair. I don't want to go back to the cabin, they're going to pity me, Gwen muttered. She hates to be pitied by anyone, and she also doesn't want to be in the cabin with this girl that the jerk just cheated with. I'm not going to lie, Datbeo, they will pity you. Gwen flinched at his sentence, but they care about you a lot. We want you to know that you're not alone in this. You have us. Naruto looks into her teary eyes and wiped away her tears with gentle care. We are here to support you, and we will help you pick up the pieces, Datbeo. Gwen sniffled as she leaned into his chest. Naruto. Thank you. No problem, Naruto smiled, only to BL. Inked as he heard a snore and looked down to her to see that she just passed out from crying too much. The redhead sighed softly as he stands up with Gwen in bridal carry and walk toward the cabins. Outside, after placing Gwen in her bed in the empty girl's cabin, Naruto stretched his arms out before someone called out to him. Idiot, I need to tell you something. The redhead blinked as Heather quickly grabs him and dragged him away from the cabins. What do you want to tell me about, Datbeo? Naruto asked with tilted head. I kind of got carried away. The queen bee fidgeted as she too told him the truth, and the redhead frowned at her with crossed arms. I'm sorry, please don't hate me. I don't hate you. Naruto sighed, but I'm little disappointed in you because you hurt 2 people. Heather bit her lips with teary eyes. And you can't tell me that you're sorry, you have to go and apologize to Gwen, Datbeo. I will, I promise, Heather sniffled. It always hurt her when she knew that Naruto was disappointed in her. Good, Naruto pulled her in a hug. It's good thing that you told me. And remember, I can't hate you at all because I know that sometime you carry it away too much, Datbeo. The queen bee nodded timidly. I'm going back to my cabin. Naruto released her and walked away from her. Heather sighed softly. It was right thing to tell him before he find out from anyone else and may end up hate her. Which really scared her a lot if it happened. Girl's cabin. The next morning, Gwen's eyes fluttered as she sat up in her bed and wondered how she got in bed before remembering what happened last night with Naruto. It was nice of him to help me out, the goth girl sighed, pulling her legs up to her chest and resting her chin on them with a frown as she take a glance at slumbering Heather. Gwen was about to get out of her bed, but there was a huge sound of gong clang. Campers, wakey wakey. Everyone stumbled out of their bed with screams as Chris' voice echoed out of loudspeakers. Are you ready for a morning challenge? If not, too bad. Come see me at the lake, McLean out. Gwen groaned, quickly stood up and walks out to bathroom without taking anything but towel and a change of underclothes since she noticed that she was in her clothes. Girl, I gotta tell you something about Trent. Lashana called out and the goth girl snarled at her. Not in mood. She don't want to hear anything about this musician as she stomped away from the sister and Lashana sighed. Looks like she have to wait a while until the goth girl cool off before tell her the truth. Lake. Welcome, campers. Chris grinned at the campers as they noticed 2 large platforms in the middle of the lake with stack of colored dueling sticks next to the host. Our morning challenge is going to be a tournament. Dude, it's almost 5 in the morning. Duncan grunted as the campers nodded sleepily. Yeah, I know. Chris chuckled, as you see that we have 2 platforms out in the lake, and guess what? We are going to have 2 matches going on at same time to speed things up. The host picks up the dueling stick. The rule is very simple, you have to knock your opponent off the platform to advancing on next round and anything goes. Oh, and there will be some surprises, depending on what dueling stick you choose. Chris chuckled to himself as the campers glanced at each other and Naruto raised his hand. I noticed that there are 10 of us, does that mean one of the matches will get a bye? Chris blinked at the redhead and paused before shaking his head. Oh right. Yeah, you're right. The host pulls out the box. Why don't you guys come here and get your numbers to see who is lucky to get a match that will earn you a bye? The group took their numbers. I get 10. Lindsay smiled. 7. Duncan grunted tiredly. Woohoo. 4. Owen cheered. 1. That's fitting for me. Heather smirked as some campers frowned at her. I got 5. Gwen muttered. 8. Datbeo. Naruto grinned widely. Got 3. Lashana said. I have 2. Bridget glanced at Heather and the queen bee narrowed her eyes. 9. Izzy giggled, waving her number around. 6. DJ glooped. He knows that he is bad at fighting and he will lose right away. Ooh, Izzy and Lindsay will face each other for the bye, how lucky are they? Chris chuckled. Okay, guys, time to pick out your dueling sticks. Heather and Bridget, you're on first platforms, Lashana and Owen, second platforms, and don't start until I tell you to. Confession. That's perfect. Heather smirked. I can't wait to knock this floozy hussy out. That's going to be fun. The queen bee sneered at Bridget as she lifted her white dueling stick and the surfer girl has blue dueling stick. Ready to lose. Heather teased her as she twisted her stick. I hope Bridge win the game. Owen gulped with his brown stick. You and me, Lashana said as she holds up her purple stick. Okay, battlers, are you ready? Chris called out. Well then, chef. Switch the sticks. Say what? The sassy girl blinked before scuba-cladded chef jumped out of the water and grabbed their sticks before handing them their new weapons. Owen chews. Brown so he gets the heavy stone stick. The host chuckled as Owen groaned with his heavy stick. Heather now have 2 dueling sticks, Lashana get a smaller twin dueling sticks and Bridget, the S. Urfer girl dropped her jaw as she hold a broken stick. Tough luck for you, girl, now start the battle. Oh crap, Owen groaned as he struggled to raise his stick, glancing at smirking Lashana. Sorry, nothing personal. The sassy girl thrust her left stick into the oaf's stomach before raised her right stick up to hit his chin. Owen grunted, taking a few steps back with dazed look before Lashana resumed her attack. I am so going to enjoy that. The queen bee smirked, swinging her sticks around as Bridget ducked under the first one and pulled her stomach back to avoid the second swinging. Hold still, klutzy. Like hell I am letting you knock me off. The surfer girl whispered with narrowed eyes before brings her broken stick up to clash against Heather's crossed sticks. You think you can waltz in and take him away from me? The queen bee hissed silently to Bridget. Last time I checked, he's single and don't belong to anyone. Huh, you think you have a chance? Heather mocked, UW. Not there for him through everything in the past, I did. I know but, Bridget narrowed her eyes as they bring their angrier faces closer, I'm going to be there for him now and in the future. He deserves someone who cares about him and never badmouths him every day. I call him what I want to. You never understand our bond. You're just a childhood friend. They both never noticed that Owen fall off the platform and Lashana cheered. He will never see you more than that. You too. You're just a friend to him. I'm going to tell you to back off. I know, but, Bridget forced Heather's sticks back with regained strength. I decide to confess to him, tonight. The queen bee gasped before growled with fury. I told you to back off. Never. They both tossed their sticks away and charged at each other. Catfight. Chris laughed with glee. Boy, the match is really bringing their competitive out, Datbeo. Naruto said with concern, never know that he was the reason for their catfight. The girls trembled around as they attempting to shove each other off the platform before Heather elbowed Bridget in stomach, stunned her for a moment and that's what Heather need. The queen bee pushed the S. Urfer girl with all of her might and smirked as Bridget fall off into the lake. And Heather advanced on to the next round. The host grinned joyful as he glanced at the campers. Now, the next 2 ma. TCHES or Gwen against DJ and Naruto against Duncan. Choose your sticks wisely and get on the platform. Are you all right, Bree-chan? Naruto asked as the surfer girl waddled into the shore. Yeah, I'm sure that I'm going to have some bruises. Bridget rubbed her stomach with a wince. Heather really hit harder. Yeah, she does. The redhead chuckled as he picks out the orange stick and glanced T. Oh see that Duncan grabbed the black stick before shifting his eyes to see that DJ took the yellow while Gwen just picked green. I'm glad that you're okay. I really don't know that you were very competitive like He-chan, Datbeo. The surfer girl rolled her eyes at him. It was good thing that the queen bee and Bridget were whispering to each other the whole time and Naruto will possibly feel guilty about it. You ready, Whiskers? Duncan called out and the redhead gave him a nod. Well, wish me luck, Datbeo. Naruto grinned, giving Bridget a wave as he walked toward the boat. I will. The surfer girl smiled. You gotta kidding me, Duncan growled as he holds up a Q-tip. You're sure that it's safe to hit him with that, Datbeo? Naruto asked the host before glanced at his flaming dueling stick. Who care if it's safe or not? Think of the rating that we are getting out of this. Chris laughed. At least, it's not worse than these guys. Duncan said, glanced over his shoulder. To see DJ with toothpick facing Gwen with, poor DJ, he has to go against the snake. And, game on. The host pushed his air horn. Bring it on, Whiskers. Duncan smirked, tossed his Q-tip away and throws a haymaker punch. The redhead ducked under the haymaker, lashing out his leg to sweep the punk off his feet and Duncan stumbled to get up quickly, only to duck under the flaming dueling stick. Hey, watch the mohawk. The punk ran his hand across his green mohawk, satisfied that there was no single singed hair. He glanced at the smirking redhead before widened his eyes as Naruto lunged at him. DJ whimpered, taking a step back as the snake slowly slithering toward the giant with a hiss. Yo, Gwen, can you get him away from me? He glanced at the goth girl, only to see her staring at her feet with a sigh. I know you're upset right now, but the truth about Trent. Gwen's head snapped up with a glare, causing DJ to cowering. I don't want to hear anything about this jerk. But. DJ stuttered. Shut up. The goth girl grabbed the snake and throwing the creature at the screaming giant. DJ flails his arms around, attempting to pry the snake off him before tripped on his feet and slipped into the water. Gwen turns around on her heel with crossed arms and huffed to herself, why do everyone keeping trying to talk about this jerk? Naruto and Duncan panted heavily after trading blows and moves. Not bad, the punk panted, spitting out blood. You, too. The redhead wiped the blood off his mouth, slowly move in circle with the punk as they stared each other down. Duncan was first to maw. His move as he lunged with his fist in air. As soon as the punk got closer, Naruto slid under his guard and take a hold on Duncan's outward arm before twisted his body around as Duncan's body tossed in the air like a ragdoll. The punk cried out as he landed into the water and the redhead grinned. Gwen and Naruto are on their way to next round. Chris laughed, now we will have Izzy facing Lindsay. Who will get the bye and advancing to final match? Confession. I know I have 2 more matches until the final round. Heather mumbled before she gives the camera a smirk, but I already beat KL. Utsi and only kooky girl is left. I told Lindsay to do one thing. Chad. Lindsay raised her hand, I want to forfeit the match. Fine, your loss. Chris shrugged his shoulders before frowned at her, and it's Chris. So you're letting her off because she gave up. Lashana raised her eyebrows. Nope, she has to wear this for the day. The host chuckled as he tossed a chicken hat to the bombshell. And she also loses a chance to get a sweet reward. Ah, Lindsay pouted as Owen patting her back. Now let's go on with the next rounds. Chris throws his arms up in air with wide grin. Oh, and we SWI. TCHED the secret weapons around so you won't know what you would get when you make your choice. I'll take the red, Datbeo. Naruto said, taking the red dueling stick and walked toward the boat. As the upsetting goth girl followed him with a black dueling stick. Confession. I am so going to whipping this bitch good. Lashana scowled, no one messed with my friend and get away with it. And switch. Chris called out before Scuba Clatted Chef hands the contestants their weapons. How the hell did you get producers to approve these crazy challenges? Duncan asked with gaping mouth as Chef handed Gwen a chain. Heather smirked at Lashana as she tapping a huge club on her shoulder and the sister scowled at a pillow in her hand. What the fuck, Datbeo? Naruto whispered to himself, street. Staring at a plant pot in his hands with widened eyes. That would be telling. The host grinned sadistically, now fight. I seriously think that you want us to get hurt so much, Datbeo. The redhead mumbled before turned to the goth girl and smiled at her. Good luck, Gwen. The goth girl glanced at him for a brief and smiled softly. Idiot, don't just stand around. Heather snarled as she attempts to club Lashana. Just throw her in the water. The goth girl flinched as she shifted her glance to the queen bee and sneered at her. Gwen really want to hurt her like what she did to her with this J. And there was one way that she can hurt Heather emotionally. Naruto. The said boy turned his head to her with a blink. Gwen throws out all of her rational thoughts and take hold of Naruto's head before pull him in a deep kiss. The redhead's eyes widened in shock and his brain just shut down as the group watch on in many different reaction. Oh, damn, Lashana gasped. Ooh, Chris snickered. As he leans back to the camera crew and whispered lowly, someone filming the girls. Fuck, we so are going to be in one hell of a storm. Duncan deadpanned as Owen nodded at him with dropped jaw and Lindsay stared at them confusingly. Looks like it, DJ gulped as he glanced at Izzy. She was just grinning but her face was blank with glazed eyes. He shifted his eyes to shock-shelled surfer girl. And wonder what she was thinking inside her head. Gwen, Bridget know that the goth girl did it to get back at Heather but seeing Gwen kissing the redhead really hurt her and she felt like she was betrayed by her friend. The surfer girl shut her eyes tighter, resisting to let the tears come out as she turned her head away from them. Oh. Someone get me a close-up on Heather's face. That's so rich. The host chortled. The shocked queen bee stood there with gaping mouth and her eyebrow twitched. Footage. Now freeze it. Chris laughed, and rewinds it to the kiss. The footage rewinds to the moment that Gwen kissed Naruto as he stared at her with widened eyes. Now notice that when Gwen gives him a big smooch, a circle mark appeared on their lips, did you see that? Our goth girl just slipped him a tongue. Hee hee. The footage forwarded to Izzy's face before a few circle marks appeared around her mouth and eyes. Izzy looked happy and seems to be fine with it, but her eyes said otherwise. Who know what she is really thinking inside, and I would be lying if I said that I don't want to know what is going on in her head. And here's our biggest heartbreaking moment. Bridget's upsetting face turned away from the camera. It's no secret that our girl next door is crushing on Naruto so badly, and to make it worse, the girl that kissed him is her friend. How awesome is that? Chris laughed manically as the footage finally stopped on Heather's face. It looked like Heather don't saw this one coming. Circle mark appeared on her eyes, noticing her twitching eyes. See how her mouth is close to snarl, and can you see her hands? The footage shifted to her hands, they are in fists. Which means that our queen bee will really blow up. Wicked. Gwen pulls away from Naruto, leaving a saliva trail. Between them and Heather exploded as soon as they stopped kiss. Why you fucking bitch. I'll fucking kill you. The queen bee roared as she jumps off her platform into the lake and swam toward their platform. Ignoring the host's announcement that she lost. I'll fucking gonna gut you, ripping your black heart out and shove it down your throat for what you did. I will make sure that no one will find your slutty body ever. Whoa, Chris muttered to himself, it looks like the editor may have a lot of work to censor some of cusses. So what? Gwen scoffed, I'm single, he's single, and you're with Trey. NT, so I can just kiss him whenever I feel like. I'm not with this motherfucking Lennon wannabe. Heather roared as she jumped at the goth girl before Chef appeared right behind her and held the queen bee up at arm length. On Chris' order, since it will get out of control and may cost him his show. Let me go. Let me go. She kicked her legs at the air and Gwen blinked at her. Wait, what? Trent don't cheat on you, she was playing us all. Lashana hollered before explaining everything that happened yesterday. So he never cheated on me the whole time. Gwen whispered with widened eyes before she gave out a sigh. Oh, Naruto. I'm so, Naruto. Most of the campers blinked at the redhead as he curled up in the corner of the platform, tracing a circle on the surface of the water with his left index fin. Jeer and right hand touching his lip with a red face. I am going to kill you. Heather growled, I'll murder you in your sleep. Hey, it was your fault in first place and it's just a kiss, nothing big. Lashana said with her hands on hip. Just a kiss. The queen bee snarled as she pointed at Gwen with glare. Do you have any idea what this bitch just did? She stole his first kiss. Say what? Campers and Chef said in unison as they glanced at Naruto. Confession. Whoops. Gwen giggled nervously with her hands in air. How the hell would I know that I was going to have his first kiss? Static. Die, Heather chanted. Strangling a voodoo doll that looked like a certain goth camper. Static. My first kiss, Naruto whispered to himself with blush as he touched his lips tenderly. Also my first French kiss, Datbeo. Okay. Everyone, but Naruto and Gwen, get off, and you two, go back to fight each other. Chris grinned as Chef restricted the angrier queen bee from invading the match again. Naruto slowly stand up and turns around to the goth girl before his eyes glanced at her lips. The memory of his first kiss played over and over in his head. It was too much for him before he fainted from overheating, and Gwen gulps as she glanced at the girls, winced as soon as she saw Bridget's downcast expression. Wow, that must be a knockout kiss, and Naruto can't go on, so it is Gwen's victory. What? You can't do that, Heather yelled. My show, my challenges, my rules. Chris beamed at the campers. Okay, campers, take 30 and we will start the semifinal match right away. Bree. Getty quickly walk away from them before Gwen follow her. Woods. Wait, Bridget, I have to apologize to you, Gwen said before the surfer girl cut her off with a shaking of her head. Don't, Bridget whispered. I know you were very upset and don't even think at all, but it hurts. She fights back her tears as she hugging herself. Yeah, Gwen sighed. She kinda know what her friend was going thr. Ow, when she thought that Trent was cheating on her. She slowly walks closer to Bridget and hugs her from behind. I know, but I want to say it. I'm sorry for kissed him. I'm really sorry that I hurt you so much. I forgive you. I need to go to the bathroom to refresh myself, the surfer girl muttered, and the goth girl nodded as she watched her friend walk away with downcast eyes. Gwen sighed, turning on her heels and walked back to the lake. Chris glanced at the dazed redhead and shakes his head lightly. like mother, like son. He sighed lightly. The host still does not believe that Naruto's claim might be true, since there's a good chance that the redhead is like these people who lied to have their 15 minutes of fame, but that was first time someone claimed to be his son. What if it's true and that he really has a son? No, he's not my son. Chris ruffled his hair before checking his watch to see that there was about 5 minutes left and sighed. Why is he worrying about the claim when he have a show to run? Gwen, are you okay? DJ asked with concerned tone in his voice as the goth girl showed up. And is Bridget okay too? Yeah, we're okay, sorry for everything, Gwen said, and the giant waved it off. Okay campers, the host said as he slides into his host persona. Time for the semifinal round. Who will be the one to face Izzy for the reward? Choose wisely. Good luck, girl, cause you need one. Lashana teased, taking the blue dueling stick, and Gwen rolled her eyes. Yeah, for you. The goth girl smirked as she took the brown stick. Why do I always get a lousy luck today? Lashana glared at dictionary book as Chef stands in front of her with 2 huge dueling sticks. Gwen is very lucky. Chris chuckled as he swings his arm diagonal. She managed to summon Chef Vader. Now Chef Vader will do all the fight for our goth camper. Start the battle. Take this. The sister chucked her book at the cooker, only to have it swatted away in midair and fall into the water. Chef glared at her with cruel smirk and Lashana gulped. Ellipsis. Mercy. What is mercy? The cooker swings his dueling sticks and the sassy girl ducked before tackle Chef in stomach. Nice try, girly. But you're years away from where I am. The cooker shouted as he grabbed Lashana's collar and tossed her into the water without any resistance. So unfair, Lashana muttered after spitted out some waters. Are you ready to rumble? Chris grinned at Gwen and Izzy as they both hold normal dueling sticks. Oh totally, I am. The crazy girl giggled. I think so, the goth girl mumbled. Then, fight. The girls stared in each other's eyes before Izzy grinned widely. Let me ask you something. Sure. Is he a good kisser? Izzy asked with coyly grin, and Gwen blushed lightly. I don't. No, I'm not, the goth girl said before the crazy girl lunged with a swing, and it took Gwen off guard. She stumbled back, only to trip by Izzy's leg sweep before rolled to her side, avoiding the dueling stick smash. Gwen quickly gets on her feet to block another swing from the crazy girl and shoulder tackle Izzy away from her. Gwen's eyes widened as Izzy flipped on the platform before lunge. D to her in air, but the goth girl ducked under the crazy girl. Whoa! Izzy cried out, slipping on the water puddle that was left by Chef early, and the loss of her footing cost her as Gwen shoved her off the platform. And the winner of the tournament is Gwen. Chris clapped with a grin. Chef, why don't you tell her what she just won? Chef coughed into his hand as he raises his cue card to his face. Gwen won her own private bathroom that only she can use. Here's the key. The cooker tossed her a small sliver key. Don't lose it. Okay, campers, the host turns to the campers. See you at the second challenge. Say what? We're not going to vote someone out. Heather snarled. She really wants to kick that weird goth girl off the island. I never said that it was going to be one of these eliminations. See? Challenge, I only said reward several times. Chris chuckled. That's true, Dadbeo, Naruto said with lightly blush. He was a little zoned out with the kiss. The queen bee grunted. I'll call you when it's time for the second challenge. FYI, it's at the dock. The host grinned, turns around and walks away with Chef. Boys' cabin. Duncan smirked at Naruto with crossed arms. So how was your first kiss, Whiskers? No comment. Dadbeo. His face matched his red hair as Naruto ruffled his hair, and the punk chuckled at him. It's fun that you just knocked out from just a little kiss. Duncan said. Glanced at the chucking DJ and Owen as they played the card game. Don't remind me, Naruto groaned as he buried in his pillow. Wake me up when it's challenge time. Sure, Naru. Owen saw it with a grin as DJ groaned at his loss. Outside, Lindsay hummed as she opened the grape soda bottle and spoke to Heather with a smile. I am so glad they included Grapatastic Pop in your reward yesterday. She glanced at her soda with a sigh. It's totally my favorite. It's the only thing I've really been craving on the island. I cannot believe that Lashana shredded my clothes. Heather growled, ignoring the bombshell as she checked her ripped clothes that was destroyed by the sassy girl last night. She is so gonna pay for this. Well, you did tricked Gwen and Trent into breaking up. Lindsay pointed out as she take a sip. That's pretty major. Shut up. The queen bee scowled before snatched Lindsay's bottle, ignoring her gasp as she chugged it down and spit it out. How can you drink this sugar water? Heather coughed as she throws the bottle away and Lindsay whined at her broken bottle. Doc. The campers stood around the dock after receiving a call from Chris. Today's challenge is a good, old-fashioned game of hide and seek. The host said with a grin as he walked up to the group, you all get 10 minutes to hide before Chef Hatchet comes looking for you. With his military background and advanced degree in manhunting, he's uniquely qualified to make this game excruciatingly hard. The campers glanced to smirking Cooker with water gun. What's with the water gun? Duncan saw it with a raised eyebrow before a laser dot appeared on his forehead as he looked at it cross-eyed. The lifeguard chair is home base. Chris explained as he walks over to the said chair. When he finds you, Chef will try to spray you. If you escape his blast, you can try to run to home base, but if he catches you on your way, he'll douse you. Ooh, so we're gonna get splashed by a bit of water. Duncan mocked with a smirk. Now I'm terrified. Why don't you demonstrate, Chef? The host grinned and the cooker snickered to himself before fired a huge blast of water at Chris from the water gun and it knocked him a good distance across the island. Not on me, dude. The host cried out in the distance as Chef rubbed his head with sheepish grin. So how do we W in this game? Heather asked as Chris walked back to the dock, wringing the water out of his clothes. You've got 3 options. The host counted with his fingers. 1. Don't get discovered in your hiding place. 2. Run to home base before Chef blasts you. 3. Once you've been caught, help Chef find other campers. Do any of those and you win invincibility. All clear. Lindsay was about to ask him to repeat the rules, but Chris spoke up. You have 10 minutes to hide. Go. The campers ran off in random directions, leaving behind Lindsay as she looks around with widened eyes. Yeah. The bombshell cried as she ran off. Cliff. Naruto grinned as he hugged against the cliffside. He figured that if Chef doesn't check the cliffside, he will make it since no one would think of it in first place. Cave. Owen slowly walks toward the cave. His eyes glanced everywhere before cried out as Duncan grabbed him and pulled him inside the cave. The punk shushed him and the oaf looked around, noticing that DJ was with them. Hey, guys, great hiding spot. Owen said, yeah, listen up, boys. Duncan said, we're in trouble, okay. There are 6 chicks on the island and only 4 dudes. Yeah, so. Owen shrugged. It's bad, dude. The punk growled, if I noticed it. Chances are that sooner or later they're gonna notice it, too, and when they do, they're gonna pick us off one by one. We've got to do something about it. It's not like they're exactly getting along. DJ said nervously, remember this morning and yesterday. They started to recall the kiss moment and the tension between the girls and Heather. Yeah, I don't know, Owen muttered. Lind and I are getting along very well. Let me tell you the truth about women. Duncan rolled his eyes, they're all sisters, and when push comes to shove, they're gonna stick together. The punk throws his hands up in air. Haven't you ever seen a chick flick before? Well, yeah, but, Owen slowly said, but Duncan interrupted him. Look, man, now's the time, when they don't see it coming, while we have element of surprise. Geez, I'm not sure, the oaf gulped and Duncan narrowed his eyes at him. Cliff. Ah. Naruto blinked and he looks up to see Owen, dangling in the air as Duncan holds him up. Are you sure now? The punk smirked. Okay. Owen cried out, we'll form our own alliance. Not that I'm gonna to say anything, but do you has to hold him over the lake to get him in your alliance, Datbeo. Naruto called out as the boys turned to him with blinking eyes. Naru, what are you doing down there? Owen asked as the punk pulls him up. Hiding, remember. The redhead raised his eyebrow. Oh. The oaf smacked his forehead and Duncan rolled his eyes as he makes some plans in his head. Hey, Whiskers, can you meet us in the woods in a few minutes? The punk said, receiving a thumb up from the redhead. Hey, Owen, let's go. Duncan dragged Owen back to the cave and Naruto shakes his head with a smile as he climbed down the cliffside, keeping eyes out for Chef. Cave. Now we're all agreed. Guys united and save our butts from elimination. Duncan grinned, holding hand out. Agreed. Owen and DJ placed their hands on top of the punk's hand before throw them in air. Oh, I am so psyched. A dude alliance. Owen chuckled. I love it, it's so manly. Wait, what about Naruto? DJ asked. Oh, he'll be in the alliance after this challenge. I sent him to the woods for a plan of mine. The punk said. DJ, Owen. Here's the plan. Woods. Chef slowly walk on the path, unaware that Izzy was shadowing him and only hide each time the cooker turns around. Someone is watching me, and it ain't the camera, Chef growled. His eyes scanned the woods. Campfire. Bridget was thinking about a hiding spot as she walks into the campfire pit before gasped and snapped her fingers. She was about to take a step but a familiar voice called out to her and the surfer girl turned to see Owen waved at her from the woods. Don't go this way, I just saw Chef going there. The oaf said, come with me, I find a sweet spot. Really? Thank, Owen. Bridget smiled as she follows her large friend. Main lodge. In the kitchen, Heather was hiding under the table with a scowl and mumbling to herself. These bitches better not get invincibility. Hey, Hazel. The queen bee jumped, only to hit the table with her head and glared at Lindsay as she crawls out under the table. What a coincidence. We are just, like, destined to hide together. The bombshell gushed. What? Heather snarled, what are you doing here? Can't you find your own hiding place? The queen bee stepped closer to get in Lindsay's face. This challenge is called, hide and seek, not, hide in group and seek. But, Lindsay whined with puppy eyes. Dig yourself a hole. Disguise yourself as a canoe. I don't care, Heather shouted as she throws her arms up. Just do it somewhere else. The light came on and the girls glanced at the door to see Chef with a cruel smirk. This is my kitchen, the cooker laughed evilly, also known as forbidden territory. Take her. Heather shoved Lindsay into Chef and ran out of the main lodge, followed by screaming bombshell. Chef kicked the door open and turns his head to see them running to the dock before fired his water gun. The girls never know what just happened. 1 minute they were running and the next minute, they were soaked and down on the ground. Chef smirked proudly as he street EP on them lightly like if they were his kill trophies. Now you two, wait here. The cooker chuckled as he returned to the main lodge to check again to make sure that he doesn't miss any campers. After checking everything, he was about to leave the main lodge until he hears a sneeze from above him and looks up to see Izzy on the ceiling. Oops. The crazy girl giggled, I guess you heard that, huh? I just washed the, Chef said. Only to cut off by Izzy's foot to face. Yeah. The crazy girl shouted out as she flipped in air before landed on her feet and turned around to the cooker and stared down. Chef glances at his water gun before tossed it away and cracked his knuckles as Izzy cracked her neck in response. Yeah. Izzy gave out a battle cry as she charged at the cooker and traded blows to blows with furious speed. Chef was first to break it by shove her away with his palm. The crazy girl skidded on her feet before stopped halfway and wiped her mouth as the cooker smirked. Not bad. Crazy maggot, Chef thought as Izzy beckoned him to come. The cooker charged to her and trade another barrage of blows before the crazy girl dodged his punch by jumped into the air. Bye. Izzy giggled before kneed him in the face, sending him flying across the room as she jumped through the window. You'll never get me alive. Chef grabbed his tossed water gun and kicked the door open again. To see the crazy girl running toward the dock. He chased her down as he pumping his water gun and aimed it on Izzy before fired it, sending her into the water. Yes, Chef chuckled with fist pump. Woods. Naruto yawned as he followed DJ and glanced at his giant friend, noticing that he was worrying about something. DJ, what's wrong, Datbeo? The redhead tilted his head. Oh, it's nothing. DJ stuttered and his redhead friend opened his mouth to say something but they heard Owen talking loudly. Just almost there, Bridge. You already said that 5 times. Bridget's voice replied. Hey, was that Bree-chan? Naruto asked. Only to see DJ's hand scratched his birthmarks. Sorry, man. The giant shouted out as he ran away from the redhead, grabbing Owen on his way. What's going on? Bridget asked. Turns her head back to see frozen Naruto and blinked at him. Naruto. Is there, eek. She squeaked as her crush pulls her in hug and purred blissful, nuzzling his face in her hair. Naruto. The surfer girl blushed, glancing up to him and realized that he was in his purring mode like the first day they got here. Bridget glanced around before hugging him with smile, glad that no one was around. I swear that teenagers are getting bolder each year. Her eyes widened as she glanced to see smirking Chef and her face become redder. It's not what it looks like. Bridget. Tay stuttered before the cooker fired his water gun at them and walks away from them. Enjoy your time with him. Chef chuckled, wait until everyone heard about that. No, wait. The surfer girl blushed heavily as Naruto purred on her. Outside. You think they're gonna be mad at us? Owen asked. Oh, yeah, big time. DJ gulped as he looked down from the roof. They both decided to hide on roof of the main lodge. Is it me or did you hear something creaking? Yeah, your rig. Whoa. They both cried out as they fall through the roof and stumbled out of the main lodge with dust. You guys are so busted. The boys looked up to see Heather smirked at them. Hey, I've got an idea. Lindsay said as she walks to the queen bee's side. Since there are two of them, why don't I bust one of them so we both get invincibility? Hey, I've got an idea. Heather lifted her index finger in air, find your own. She snarled before grabbed the boys and dragged them to Chef as Lindsay blinked at them sadly. Woods. After found Gwen under the grass blanket, the group of cot campers followed Chef before Heather glanced around to see that her idiot was not around. I wonder where idiot is hiding. Oh, I caught him already. Chef chortled as he picks up a piece of green hair. Brad must be still cuddling with this surfer maggot. Say what? The queen bee snarled with a stomp, never noticed that DJ and Owen glanced at each other nervously. They just accidentally fed the fire. I want to hug Red again. Izzy pouted. I wonder where Duncan and LaShawn are hiding. Gwen cupped her chin. How should I know? Owen gulped nervously. It's not like the guys are forming a guys-only alliance or anything. Gwen turns to him with a raised eyebrow. Okay, they are forming one, but Naru and I are not part O. F it, the goth girl kept staring and he grasped his head. Okay, you broke me. There is alliance, and I joined it. Naru will be in it after this challenge. I'm not supposed to tell you, but I did. Owen sobbed. There. Are you happy? Wow. I really had to drag that out of you. Gwen snickered with a smirk. All right, you caught me. Duncan shouted as they both turned around to see Chef carrying the punk out of the cave. Is that everyone? Lindsay asked. What about Lashana? Owen pointed out. Lashana. Chef gasped as he glancing around, but I searched everywhere. He paused. The water. Doc. What took you so long, sugar? Lashana smirked, sitting on the lifeguard chair in her swimsuit as Chef and his group ran into her sight. Chef smirked and nodded his head, proud of her clever idea as the campers ran to her and congratulating the sassy girl. All righty, campers. Chris walks up to them with a grin. Game's over. Time to pick the loser and send them home. The host glanced around. Wait a minute, where's Naruto and Bridget? Oh, I'll get the lovebirds. Chef chuckled as he walks toward the woods. They got together. Chris blinked. Nope, the brat's in his bliss mode. The cooker answered. Some fool scratched his whiskers. Girls' cabin. The guys are teaming up against us, and as much as it makes me wants to throw up, we have to vote as group if we want any chance of winning. Heather said to the girls with a glare. Well, I say we take Duncan out. He's mean and I'd tell him that to his face. Bridget said and Lashana nodded. Yeah, I don't trust this little criminal, even if he helps us out sometime. The sister admitted and it took a while until they finished their discussion. Hey, Lindsay. Heather whispered, vote for Bridget, I want her gone today. She remembered that Bridget was planning to confess to her idiot and she can't have this happening. Huh, why? Lindsay blinked at her, I thought that we were gonna vote for Drake. Just do it, the queen bee snarled, causing the bombshell to nod with a gulp. Confession. I'm starting to think that maybe Holly isn't nice person after all. Lindsay mumbled, she is breaking the sisterhood's rule and Brittany is really nice person. Doc. Naruto purred blissful as he held on Owen's head and the boys was discussing about whom they will vote for. So it's agreed. We vote Bridget off. Duncan said with a smirk. No, wait. Owen whined. We have to get her together with Naru so some of us can win the pool bet. Oh, really? Duncan sighed. Do you want to win measly changes or do you want to win the game and get $100,000? Why not Gwen or Izzy? DJ asked. He left Heather and Lashana out since they have invincibility. Yeah, but everyone likes Bridget, and she's great at sports. We might not get another chance, dude. The punk replied. All in favor for booting Bridget. The oaf whimpered. Yeah. DJ sighed and Naruto just purred on Owen's head. That settles it. Duncan smirked. Here's to the guys' alliance. Campfire. Ah, my head. What just happened, Datbeo? Naruto groaned as he takes his marshmallow and joined the lucky campers. Only Owen, Duncan and Bridget were left. Sorry, man. It was wrong of me. DJ whispered and the redhead waves it off with a smile. There are only 2 marshmallows left on this plate. Chris said, you each racked up a lot of votes. One of you is going home tonight and cannot return, ever. The next marshmallow goes to, he picked one marshmallow up and tossed it, Owen. Woohoo! Owen cheered as he stood up and walked to the campers. The Al marshmallow of the night goes to, Chris grinned. Bridget stares with her mouth open. Duncan watches on with blank expression. The host flicked the marshmallow, Duncan. The campers gasped at the revelation, okay. That was a shocker. Even I'm shocked, and I know the answer. Chris admitted. I'll walk you there. Naruto said sadly, he was upset that one of his good friends was leaving. Yeah, Bridget sighed as she stood up and joined Naruto to the dock of shame. Dock of shame. That really sucked that you're leaving, Datbeo. Naruto sighed as he ruffled his hair and Bridget shuffled her feet. Yeah, Naruto, I need to tell you something before I leave. The surfer girl said with blush, she can feel her heart beating faster. What is it? For weeks since we OT here on this island, I really have a great time with you every time we hang out together. Bridget said as Naruto chuckled, I realized something when I'm with you, you were so kind, so sweet, and I really like you a lot, I really want to go out with you. The surfer girl looked up into the redhead's eyes, Naruto, I love you. Naruto stuttered with red face. I know that it's shocking foe. Are you so that's why I want to tell you to take your time and I will wait for your answer when we'll see each other. Bridget smiled at him softly and she felt very bold so she decided to lean up to him and kiss him tenderly. Naruto's face turned more redder as Bridget broke away and stepped on the boat before turned to him with gentle smile and lovely eyes. I'll wait for your answer, I love you. Why? Yeah, the redhead stuttered before fainted from overload. She giggled as the ship took her away from the island. About time. Lashana giggled as some campers snickered at the fainted redhead. Only, Heather was not happy about it and growled at the retreating ship with deadly glare. I'll get him. DJ chuckled, walking over to lift Naruto and carry him back to the cabin. Lucky bastard, 2 kisses in one day. Duncan laughed out loudly. Outside. Oz. Lindsay called out to Owen as he turned to her with blinked eyes. Yeah, Lind. Well, after seeing Brooke confess to Nico, it gives me courage. Lindsay blushed. Oren, I like you. Like, a lot. I know that I'm not smart and don't have a great memories but I really like you a lot. Really? Me too. Owen stuttered with a gr. In and blush as he picks Lindsay up with a hug. I like you a lot too. Me too. The bombshell giggled with a blush before they slowly kiss each other. What is that, a love fest? Heather growled lowly as she stomped past them. Beach. Naruto stares off into sea. It has been 3 days after Bridget's confession. Hey, boy, still have her on your mind. The redhead blinked as he looks to his side. To see Lashana sat down on the stair with a smirk. Yeah, it's kinda shocking for me. Naruto sighed, scratched the back of his head as he watches the other campers playing with frisbee and he can see Heather was sunbathed with her friend. Yeah, a love confession can do that to some people. The sassy girl nodded. Yeah, to be honest, I've never think of getting in relationship until Bridget confessed to me, Datbeo. The redhead said. Really? You don't? Not even one fantasy about be with your crush? Lashana asked with raised eyebrow. Well, yeah, I had a crush for a short time BEF. Or, I guess that counted as thinking about relationship. Yet, who was your crush? The sister smirked at the blushing redhead. No comment, Datbeo. Naruto stuttered before standing up and called out to the campers, hey. Toss me the frisbee. He so did that on purpose to avoid the topic. Lashana rolled her eyes as she joined them. It wasn't long until the loudspeaker feedback, catching everyone's attention. And Chris' voice speak out with a chuckle. Morning, campers. Your next challenge awaits you at the Arts and Crafts Center. About time we have something to do. Heather grunted. She want to kick Gwen off right away for stole her idiot's first kiss. Arts and Crafts Center. Chris pulled up his ATV and jumped off with a grin. Welcome to the Arts and Crafts Center. More like the Arts and Crafts Center. Duncan sighed with crossed arms. Yeah, the host grinned, it used to be an outhouse. How the hell is that an outhouse? It's huge, Datbayo. Naruto said. Anyway, Chris rolled his eyes. Now it's where Chef parks his road hog. The host kicked the door open to reveal the cooker's motorcycle. Beaut. Duncan grinned. Awesome. Owen said in awe as DJ and Naruto nodded with him. The girls rolled their eyes at the boys' reactions. Which brings us to your challenge, Chris chuckled, building your own wheels. Hot rods. Owen cheered, awesome, give me 5. He holds out for Duncan, only receiving a glare. Woo, the oaf whined. You'll find all the parts you need in our bike depot. The host explained as he gesturing at the pile of dismantled bikes. Bicycles. Owen ch. Eared again before blinked at the campers, less awesome but still cool, right? Chris rolled his eyes. Once you've collected the basics, trick them out any way you want using props from the Arts and Crafts Center. Chris put on his helmet as he drives his ATV past them. Best design wins, and to prove that I'm a nice guy, I'm even throwing the bike manual. The host tossed the said book at them. Ew. It's furry. Heather said after caught the book and tossed it in air, only to be catch by Izzy. Cool. Mold spores. The crazy girl giggled. Freak, we get first dibs. Heather called out to the campers. Oh. Owen ran up to the pile. I'm gonna make my dream bike. Oh my gosh, me too. Lindsay giggled next to him. Every year at Christmas, I asked for a Sunset Sally bike but never got one, she pouted. Really? Owen gasped. Maybe I will get you one for your Christmas, if you want me to. Oh, that's so sweet of you. The bombshell hugged the oaf with a smile, earning a blush out of her large boyfriend. They both agreed that she can call him by O to make it easy for her to remember. Enough with mushy stuff. Duncan cut in as he dragged Owen away from his girlfriend and whispered to him. If we want to vote the chicks out, then our bikes have to kick ass. Capiche? Yeah, Owen cheered. I guess so. Naruto rubbed his head, focusing on find the bike parts that he need. He just agree. To join the alliance but the truth is that he only votes for whoever he wants and they don't know it. Guys alliance, DJ gulped nervously, the boys never know that Heather was listening in. Confession. The guys think they're so stealth, building their little alliances. Heather smirked, it's kind of cute, really. But why work on your own bike when you can get someone to do it for you? Heya. Thayer stopped Lindsay on her way to the girls and whispered to her. See that motor thingy with all the fancy exhausts? She handed the bombshell a wrench, dismantle it and make it fast, before Chef shows up. But what about my bike? Lindsay asked, I want to win, too. Of course, you do. Heather said, but looks at it this way. Who else can I save your butt unless I win? We're BFFs, remember? Would I steer you wrong? Yeah, we're BFF. Lindsay smiled before the queen bee pushes her into the Arts and Crafts Center building and blocks the girls. Oh, Heather waved her index finger, we're going in first. You'll just have to wait your turn or you can save yourself the effort and not even bother. The girls glared at the queen bee before a seagull shit on her head, sent her running and screaming. Got to love karma. Gwen laughed with the girls. Naruto was working on his bike and chuckled as soon as he heard Owen farted from working too hard on the tire. Whisker time. A familiar voice cried out. Oh no ooh. Naruto purred out as Izzy rubbed his whiskers, aye Izzy. Hiya, Red. The crazy girl giggled, come with me, I gotta show you the bike. The redhead glanced back at the smirking boys before shrugged. Sure, I'll check it out, Datbayo. He stood up and following the skipping crazy girl. Poor sucker. I hate to be in one of Love Web. DJ shakes his head with a chuckle. I hear you. Duncan snickered. Whoa, how did you do that? Naruto said with widened eyes as Izzy modeled on her bike, made out of woods. Oh, my brother was a mechanic before he got over by and developed a fear of motor vehicles. Izzy grinned, come on, let's take it for test drive with me. Really? But there's only one seat, Naruto said. Oh, just sit here. The crazy girl pat ed the bike's seat and the redhead shrugged before he saddled the bike. Izzy grinned at him and before he knows it, she sat on top of Naruto's lap. Aye Izzy. The redhead stuttered, only to scream oh. Oot as soon as Izzy starts to pedal the bike as fast as she can. Wait, we're going down the slope. Naruto shrieked before they went down the hill. Heather blinked at her nails. Did she just heard her idiot give out a shriek? Nah. She shook her head before Lindsay held out a doll to her. Look, it's an ugly doll with pretty hair, just like you. Lindsay grinned and Heather was not sure if it was an insult or compliment. I'm gonna use her for my bike. The bombshell smiled, only to see her leader glaring at her. Confession. I think sometimes I say the wrong thing. Lindsay admitted, once I told my math teacher that his new hairpiece looked like my dog's butt, but he really took it the wrong way. She shrugged with a smile. My dog has the cutest, curly, little butt. It was a compliment. Static. Who's the motherfucker that destroyed my motorcycle? Chef roared, holding his broken parts. I just paid my last payments. DJ was testing out his helmet before Owen speaks up. Do you guys remember your first bike ride? Oh yeah. Duncan chuckled. I wiped out so bad, I popped my collarbone. You could see it sticking right out of my shoulder. It was so wick. Oh, that's nothing. Owen laughed. I popped my arm right out of my socket. It took 3 doctors to hold me down while they slingshot it back into place. They both sighed. Good times. They never noticed the pale giant dropped his helmet before placing a lot of armors on himself. Campers, time to judge your bikes. Chris' voice speaks out of the loudspeaker. Put your pedal to the metal and meet me at the craft center. Aren't we at the center already? Lashana raised her eyebrows. Well, campers, we gave you the parts. Chris grinned as he walks up to the campers. Let's see what you came up with. He glanced at Heather's bike. Excellent aerodynamics. Heather. It only weighs 2 ounces. The queen bee gave him a smug smirk. Like her brain. Gwen mocked as the host walked to her bike. Spooky yet practical. Well done. Chris nodded as he walked to next bike. Wicked, Mad Max, Mobile, Duncan. The host turns to Lindsay's bike and the bombshell smiled at him. Go ahead. Ring her bell. Chris pushed the bell. Only T. Oh, hear nothing and look at the bombshell with weird look. The real bell has sound effects like this. Lindsay said before Nate at the host. That's horse, not bell. Chris rolled his eyes as he passed her to the next bike and glanced at armor-cladded DJ. Dude, seriously. This is lame. The giant looked down as the host walked to Lashana's bike. That's a nice bike there, girl. Thank. Lashana grinned. Her bike was just a normal mountain bike, made out of woods and few metals. It's best to go with simple instead of fancy. Oh, I hear you there. Chris chuckled before Owen rolled up to him on his small tricycle. Owen. Nice job. He glanced around. Hey, where's Naruto and Izzy? Beat me. Izzy dragged him off to somewhere. Duncan shrugged. Hill. Naruto screamed out, tightened his arms on Izzy as she snuggled up against his chest with her back. Yah. The crazy girl giggled out as the bike went down the longest slope. Arts and Crafts Center. Well, their losses, cuz this is where it gets good. Chris grinned with raised fist. We're gonna ride these babies, hard. Huh. Awesome, because my bike is built for speed. Heather bragged. Right, Lindsay. Totally. The said girl nodded. Yeah, unfortunately. You won't be riding it, Heather. The host chuckled. You'll be switching bikes. The campers stared at him with widened eyes. Yeah, cruel twist, huh? Alrighty, then see you at beach. Heather scowled at his back. Beach. Chris rolled on his ATV and stopped in front of the campers with angry chef. Okay, here's how it works. The host explained as he pulls out his helmet. Everyone picks a name out of the helmet to see whose bike you're riding. If your bike makes it across the finish line, then you get to ride it in the final round. The campers picked out and look at their paper. Only Heather looked unpleased by that. Hey, Lukey. Lindsay walks up to the scowling queen bee with a smile. I got your bike. Excellent. Heather pulls the bombshell to her side. If you cross the finish line on my bike, then I get to ride and Gwen will be out here by night. So if it looks like you're losing, just push the red button. Lindsay nodded at her as she glanced at the red button on Heather's bike. Now before we start, Chris spoke. Has anyone seen Naruto or Izzy? River. How the hell is that possible? Naruto shouted out as the bike raced across the water and Izzy giggled at his screaming face. Beach. The campers lined up on their chosen bikes before Chris nodded at them with a grin. Okay, racers. Get on your marks, get set. The host turned his head, paramedics on standby, and drag. The campers took off on their bikes, but a few campers don't take off. Hey, where's the pedals? Owen shouted at Duncan, attempting to find them on the bike. Ah, Heather grunted out, trying to move her chosen bike, but it won't even move an inch. Gwen groaned out with teary eyes as the dust flew into her eyes, courtesy of Duncan on Lindsay's bike. Okay, this is so messed up, but yee-haw. The punk laughed out. This is one booming ride. I know, right? Lindsay said as she pedaled past the punk. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. DJ thought with smile, he was riding Lashana's bike without any mishaps. Sweet ride, isn't it? Don't worry, nothing will happen to you. Lashana called out to the giant on Gwen's bike. Somehow, she jinxed it as her bike fall apart under DJ's weight and he cried out. Whoa! Lashana screamed out, crashed into the dismantled bike and fall down. Got to where Jock? DJ whined in pain before cried out as soon as Heather crashed into them with his bike since she wasn't paying attention. Back at the starting line, Owen scratched his head and looked around the bike before staring at the skull on Duncan's bike. He grabbed it and pulled to find out there was a string connected to the skull. Huh. Owen let go of it and the bike just revved before it took off at high speed. Yah! The oaf screamed out as he crossed the finish line, accidentally buried Chef under the sand. The cooker waved his flag as Lindsay, Duncan, and Gwen crossed the finish line. Yes, Chris chuckled, we have 3 awesome wipeouts by Heather, Lashana, and DJ. 4 winners, Owen's Fun Machine, Heather's Speed Machine, Lindsay's Sunset Sally, and Duncan's Lethal Machine. Yah, how do I stop this thing? Owen cried out on Duncan's still-going bike. Slam the hood ornament. The punk called out and Owen did it before it sends him flying in the air and crashed into Chef. Awesome finish, Owen. Chris laughed harder as he drove his ATV away from them. It's time to head over to the TDI motocross. Is this the part where you help saving my butt from being voted out? Lindsay asked. Not yet. Heather smiled at her, we have to make sure we win this part of challenge, too. So get your, game on. Woods. Ow, ow, ow. Naruto cried out as they raced through the thorny vines, hold on, Alvin. He yelled at the chipmunk on his head, somehow they accidentally picked the creature up on their way. Alvin squeaked out as his fur peeled out. Isn't it fun? Izzy giggled, enjoying the feeling of Naruto's chest. Beach. The 3 losers sat on top of the hill and watched the 4 finalists rolling up to the starting line. Wow, sweet wheels. Owen grinned at his girlfriend. I know, right? Lindsay giggled before kiss his cheek, for good luck, P.S. I love yours. Hee hee hee, yeah. The oaf giggled with blush on his face as he pecks her cheek too. Dude, Duncan pulled Owen's ear, enough with flirting and focus. Or I'll gonna kick your ass into next week. Focus, right. Owen gulped with thumb up. Negatory on fun. Done. Campers, welcome to the, Chris said, moto, cross, challenge. Dude, why are you faking echo? Duncan deadpanned. Using your own bikes, you'll race the course. Avoiding the hidden pitfalls. The host ignored the punk, cue the death traps. There's dodging the land mines, some exploded in front of the group, maneuvering though the oil slick, and finally jumping the piranhas. The piranhas jumped out of the water pit as the racers gulped. Oh, and one more thing, last one to cross the finish line will get booed off the island. No bonfire, do not pass go. Do not collect a marshmallow. What? Owen and Duncan muttered in unison. Okay, so here's our strategy, Heather whispered to Lindsay, we have to stick together so that one of us wins the race. You go first and clear a path through the mines. The bombshell whispered softly. Then go through the oil slick so I can see how to get through it. Okay, if you make it through those 2 parts. Then the 3rd part is easy. Just keep the piranhas busy while I sneak though. Wait, Lindsay gasped, then you'll win, not me. Exactly. Heather smirked. I was thinking it would be really fun if I won a challenge for myself for once. The bombshell really wants to have her first individual victory. Yeah, that's a great idea in theory. The queen bee rolled her eyes, T then who would come up with all the new strategies to get us through to the next week. Rewrite, Lindsay sighed, okay. Don't worry. Heather said, if the piranhas don't eat you, then you'll definitely be second. Which means Owen or Duncan will be off the island. But I don't want O to lose, the bombshell whimpered. Ah, he won't lose, I promise, the queen bee scoffed softly. Racers. Chris raised his arm in air before bring it down. Take your positions, and go. He watches on as the racers raced off into his deathtrap course. Owen was first to drop out, thanks to the land mine, and he cried out. As Chef ducked under him before a tire hit him in the head. Can't I have break? The cooker groaned. It has been a bad day for him since someone destroyed his ride. Lindsay cheered as she launched into the sky from the landmine and landed right behind Duncan. The punk slide on the oil slick and fall down, soaking himself with the oil as Lindsay rolled by him, clearing the path for Heather in process. The bombshell widened her eyes at the upcoming piranha pit and tried to brake her bike, but the speed of her bike actually carried her across the water and made it, only to balancing her bike between the land and the pit. Good. Heather smirked, pushed her red button and the engine revved inside the bike's toolbox. It sent her bike flying in the air, soared above Lindsay's head and land. Dead on the finish line as Chef waved his flag. And we have our winner. Heather. Chris announced on his ATV and the campers groaned. Yeah, you won. Lindsay cheered, we did it. We're safe. That's not exactly true. The host stepped in. Heather is safe because her bike crossed the line first, but since Duncan and Owen wiped out and didn't complete the race, they technically didn't cross the line at all. Which makes you the last one to cross the line, which means it's, dock of shame, time, baby. Okay, I'm so confused. The bombshell said, she can't understand what the host was saying in one breath. It means I can't save you until I give you the victory. Heather explained, but I can't do that, too risky. You understand. The queen bee smirked as she walks away. But I won. Lindsay grabbed her arm, I even built your bike. I don't know what she's talking about. Heather laughed, you should just leave with your dignity intact. It will make you seem much more cuter in the instant replays. The campers gasped at them. But we were going to the final 3 together. The bombshell said with widened eyes. Guess not. Aren't you even sad? Lindsay asked, we're BFF. Yeah, for the contest. Heather shrugged with crossed arms. It's not like we're gonna be best friends for life or anything. I can't believe you just said that, but we pinky swore. Lindsay gasped, you mean I've been helping you all this time and you didn't even like me? Truth. The bombshell nodded, not really, no. Heather raised her eyebrow at the glaring campers, what? We're not here to make friends. We're here to become celebrities, remember? Ooh, that's cold, brah. Duncan dropped his jaws. Oh, like you're such a team player. Heather flipped her hair, all you do is go around scaring the crap out of everyone. At least I'm straight with people. The punk said. That's true. Lashana nodded. Whatever. The queen bee rolled her eyes, I'm not going anywhere soon. This week, you are so mean. Lindsay muttered. And all that bad stuff people said about you is true, she lashed out, like how you're a two-faced, backstabbing, lying, little motherfucker. She flipped Heather the bird as the campers watched on. Chris and Chef glanced at each other with widened eyes. I always told them they were wrong. I stood up for you because I thought we were BFF, but they're right. You were really a two-faced, backstabbing, lying, little motherfucker. She continued to ranting and cussing out. Dude, your girl has quite a mouth on her. Duncan whispered to Owen and he nodded at the punk. And guess what? Lindsay growled, I don't want to be BFF anymore. I'd rather spend the day staring at O's cute ass than shopping with you. N.P.S. Your shoes are tacky. Yeah, you tell her, girl. Lashana laughed with the campers. Go jump in the piranha pool. Heather was about to walk away until everyone heard Naruto's voice. Stop this thing. The redhead wailed out as Izzy's bike flew off the hill and into the water. Woohoo. That was fun. The crazy girl giggled as they stumbled out of the water, what a rush. It makes me want to do something, like, she turns around and jumped on Naruto, wrapped her legs around his waist as he held her up. Izzy, what are you do, MMPH? The redhead widened his eyes as Izzy kissed him, forcing her tongue down his throat. Whoa, Lashana blinked at the crazy girl's bold move. She takes a glance at Heather and smirked after seeing her gaping expression. Woohoo, that was so great. Izzy giggled after her make-out with Naruto. Naruto said nothing as he stared at her with dropped jaw. Confession, I just swear that she was grinding on whiskers. Duncan laughed, holding his sides. Static. Well, Everyone was kissing him and I don't want to miss out. Izzy grinned. Static. Bitch. Heather cried out as she throws her fists around. I worked so hard to enforce a rule at my school that no bitch would come near my idiot. Now it's all ruined, thanks to these bitches. Dock of shame. The campers lined up to watch Lindsay leaving the island. Thank for all your support, Greta. I love you, LaQuisha. Lindsay said with a smile. Take care, girl. Lashana hugged the bombshell. If it makes you feel better. We would have kept you on. Really? Thanks. Lindsay smiled. Kick Hannah's ass for me. She stopped in front of the boys. Bye guys, see you at the finale. She turned to Naruto. Can you look after O for me? Sure, Datbeo. The redhead grinned at her. Thank. Lindsay walked to the upsetting oaf. Aw, I gonna miss you the most. Lind. Owen wailed as he hugged Lindsay. There, oh. Lindsay kissed him softly. I love you. I love you too. The oaf sniffed, releasing her and Naruto patted his back. Good luck, Holly. The bombshell said as she walked past Heather and climbed on the ship. I hope you get everything your karma owes you. Okay, I'm ready. The ship sailed off as the campers watch on. Well, campers, anyone up for a movie night? Chris chuckled. Everyone. Meet up at the campfire at night for the movie. See you later. He turned on his heels and walked away as the campers returned to their cabins, but one of them followed him. Woods. Chris W. Hissled before someone calls him out and he groaned. He doesn't want to talk to this certain camper. What do you want, Naruto? The host rolled his eyes, thankful that there was no camera around. Well, the redhead rubbed his head bashful. I was figuring that we would spend some time together to getting know each other. Naruto, I don't know what kind of lies Kushina just told you, but I'm not your father. Chris ran hand across his hair. She doesn't lie. It's the truth. There is a DNA test and it confirmed that you are my two-san. Why can't you accept that I'm your son? Naruto shouted at him. That's enough, Naruto. Enough of it. I told you and I'm going to say this time, I'm not your daddy. Kushina lied to you, and if you're after money or 15 minutes of fam. He was cut off by the punch in stomach from tearful redhead. She never told a lie, you know that. I'm not either after these things. Don't you have any idea how long I have to wait for you to show up and take me in when Ka-san died? I thought you will accept me if I told you the truth. I always kept hoping that you will come for me because I need you. You bastard. I hate you. Naruto cried out with tears before he ran away from the host as he winced. Wait, Chris groaned. The redhead was right about one thing. Kushina would never tell a lie in her life, and if she did, everyone can see through it. Great. Chris muttered as he walks away from the woods. He was still denying the fact that the redhead was his son. The clearing was silence until the cooker stepped out behind a tree with crates. The fuck? Chef muttered with widened eyes. He just accidentally walked on their conversation when he was getting things ready for horror challenge. He frowned, starting to see some resemblances between Naruto and Chris. Oh boy, the cooker groaned. It looks like he's going to have a talk with his boss. If the brat was telling the truth about DNA test, then it looks like Chris really screwed up this time. Campfire. Heather noticed that there was something wrong with Naruto since the campers got together to watch the movie, and some of the campers noticed it, but they decided not to bother him for now. He's coming out of the woods with a big, hacking chainsaw. Izzy grinned. That's so cool. Oh no. Owen gasped. Psycho killer man's going for the car. Yo, fool couple, stop making out and start the car. Lashana throw her popcorns at the screen. They're gonna be chainsaw sushi. Izzy giggled before hugged Naruto's arm out of fear as soon as the woman on the film screamed out. Great Canadian cheese. Owen jumped on his feet. Now the car won't start. Oh, man, I hate scary movies. DJ looked away. Run. Izzy jumped. The psych is gonna get you. Here comes the blood fest. Gwen smirked before she gives a small frown. Noticing that the redhead was not paying attention. Something wrong, Naruto. She whispered to him, only to get a headshake. The goth girl sighed lightly before watch the rest of the movie. Ah, the chainsaw psych is going back to the woods. Izzy cheered, he's getting away. Yeah, good ending. She jumped on Naruto's lap. Izzy loves scary movies. Yeah, Naruto muttered as the boys glanced at each other. Woo, am I ever glad that's over. DJ sighed as soon as the movie ended. I really hate scary movies. Oh yeah, What scares you most? Duncan smirked, the part where everyone meet. S.A. grisly death or the psycho killer with a hook. The punk pulls out a hook, causing DJ to scream out and everyone, but Naruto, laughed at the cowering giant. Not cool, man. DJ whined. Aw, come on, Deej. Gwen giggled as she packed the movie. For a slasher flick, it was pretty tame. Yeah, there was hardly any hacking. Duncan chuckled, not like Bloodbath 2, Summer Camp Reign of Terror. No way, that's my favorite movie. The goth girl perked up and starts to acting out some part of her favorite movies. I love when the killer jams that guy's hand into the lawn mower. Or when he pushes the chick off the deck and then she lands on a propeller blade that slices her in half. The punk grinned before they both speak in unison, or when he shoves that big dude's head inside the wood chipper. I would shove his head in the wood chipper, Datbeo, Naruto whispered bitterly and no one heard him but someone did and this person was about to ask him before Heather scoffed at them. Aw, look. Like Gwen and Duncan have something in common than bad fashion sense. The queen bee crossed her arms, it's just mindless guts and gore. Horror movies aren't mindless. Gwen defended. Yeah, they're loaded with psychological trauma. Duncan supported her, look at DJ. Whatever. Heather growled, do anyone have any idea what and when our next challenge will be? Yeah, Owen nodded before they hear tea. He boat revved loudly and walked toward the dock to see Chef toss the bags on the boat with the host. Yo, Chef, where's the fire? Duncan asked but the cooker stared at them with fear before jump on tea. He ship and they sailed out as fast as they can. Dude, you forget that. Owen called out, picking up a backpack before blinked at the newspaper and opened it to read the headline out loud. Escaped psycho killer on the loose. Be on the lookout for a man wearing hockey mask with a hooked hand and carrying a chainsaw. He's on the loose. Izzy giggled. Oh come on. Heather muttered, they don't expect us to fall for this. Scary movie followed by hasty exit, followed by strategically placed lame prop. I don't know. DJ stuttered, Chef looked pretty spooked. Please. The queen bee rolled her eyes. It's all their part of their little stunt to freak us out. If it was a stunt, would Chris leave behind his hair gel? Owen raised the bottle, drawing out gasps from the campers before Naruto grabbed it and throw it at the sea with angry expression. Whoa, this is for real. Gwen cried out, it seems that no one noticed Naruto's angry face. Let me get this straight. DJ gulped, Chris left us for dead, and now we're alone. While that escaped psycho killer with the chainsaw is on loose. No, we're alone while that escaped psycho killer with a chainsaw and a hook is on the loose. Duncan pull. LS out a hook with a chuckle as the giant screamed on top of his lung. I told you, dude, not funny. DJ whimpered. Neither is your Chicken Little routine. Lashana rolled her eyes, get a grip, bro. I can't help it. The giant replied, I felt like I'm being watched. Duh, it's a reality show. Heather said with narrowed eyes, we're always being watched. Monitors tent. Chris laughed at the monitors, Heather's right and tonight. We're watching to see who can survive a real-life scary movie with special guest appearance by the escaped psycho killer with chainsaw and a hook. The host raised a hook with a smirk. The camera stopped recording and it wasn't long until he heard his phone ringing on the other side. Chris turns his head to Chef as the cooker puts on his costume. Hey, Chef, can you answer it for me? Sure, Chef mumbled, picking up the phone and answered it. Hello. Chris is little busy, may I take a message? The cooker blinked, oh, hello, doctor. Chris jumped with paled face before he ran to his coworker to steal the phone back but Chef holds his head back at arm length. Gimme. Chris shouted, flailing his arms around but the cooker ignored him. Yeah, oh. It's matched, yeah. Chef nodded his head as he listened to the doctor on phone, can I ask you a question? How many times did he have it tested? His eyes widened, fool say what? 71 times. Chef glared at sweating host. Oh, I'm going to beat it into him, talk, beat, same difference. Bye. The cooker tossed the phone at the host and glared at him. 71 times. Maybe he got it wrong again. Chris said nervously. He said that 71 out of 71 matched. Chef sighed, look, it's not my business but you have to accept the fact that Naruto is your kid. Wait, how did you know that it's Nar? I overhear you 2 few hours ago. The cooker grunted, I know that you're having hard time with the knowledge that you have a son, but I think you should just give him a chance, maybe he'll grow on you. But he has friends. Just go and scare some kids, Chris mumbled, waving him away. Fine, Chef sighed as he walks toward the exit. One more thing, Brad really went through a lot of things and he doesn't need friends for this, he needs a family. You're all he has left. The cooker stepped out and walked toward the campsite. The host sighed, I need more time. Doc. Okay, look. Gwen sighed. Tried to calm the campers down. It don't matter whether this is real or a challenge. We need a game plan. Yeah, we need a game plan. DJ whimpered before Heather leans in with scowl. You little fright wigs might need a game plan, but I need a shower. The queen bee walks past the campers. Are you crazy? Gwen deadpanned, first rule of slasher films, never go off alone. I might actually listen to you if I were in a movie. Heather replied with an eye roll, we're being punked. You're so gullible. Hey, Chris, if you're listening, next time rent one that take place at a summer camp. She turns to the campers with hands on her hip, if you losers want to hang out around and play boogeyman, go ahead. But I have got a date with exfoliation. And the bossy, mean chick seals her fate. Izzy giggled lowly as the queen bee walks off and make a slicing sound effect. Wow. Owen gasped, you're really good at sound effects. I say we go back to camp and talk strategy. Gwen ordered her fellow campers, who's in? Duncan shrugged his shoulders before walk off, followed by the campers. Confession. I'm really scared, man. DJ shivered, but I'm more worrying about Naruto. He actually doesn't say a word since the movie started, maybe he's scared inside. Campfire. Okay, rule number 1, do not go off on your own. Gwen paced around the campfire as she RNED them about the rules of slasher film. Rule number 2, if you do not go off on your own, never go in the woods. Rule number 3, if you do go in the woods, never, ever make out in the woods, or you will die in the woods. The goth girl scanned the campers before she noticed that they were missing one more camper. Where's Izzy? Breaking rules 1 and 2. Duncan chuckled, she said she want to hunt the psycho killer dude. She's doomed. Owen gulped. Woods. Yo, psycho killer man. Izzy called out, her voice echoed through the forest. Come out, psycho killer. Let's fight. She giggled. Crazy maggot be crazy. Chef rolled his eyes behind the hockey mask before he appeared behind the crazy girl and the cooker inhaled deeply, startled the girl. Izzy quickly turns around too. See the killer with revving chainsaw and she screamed out, running away from him. She may be a crazy but not crazy enough to go against a chainsaw. The cooker chased her down and cornered her at the cliff. No, Izzy screamed out as Chef picks her up with his hook and carry her away to the monitor's tent. Campfire. Naruto slumped on the tree stump, glance at the chart that Gwen set up, with all campers on it. Okay, now that I've drawn a chart of all the players. The goth girl said as she turns around and blinked. We can't, where is Owen and DJ? DJ had to take a leak, so he took Fatso with him. Duncan answered with a smirk. Bathroom. DJ glanced around nervously, okay, no matter what, you do not leave, not if you hear a psycho, not if you see a psycho, not if a psycho is slashing you to bits. Buddy, don't worry. Owen chuckled, I got your back. The giant nodded as he entering the bathroom and the oaf whistled before he hears the familiar song of Ice Cream Truck. Ice cream. Woohoo. Owen cheered, running off to the source of the song. Hello. DJ whispered inside the bathroom before he gasped at the sight of Heather with green facial mask and screamed loudly. DJ, it's me. Heather raised her eyebrow. Heather. The giant ran through the door, leaving behind the DJ-sized hole. The queen bee sighed as she stepped into the shower and let the water running down her body. She stared at her feet and frowned as she remembers this afternoon when Izzy just make out with her idiot. That is the third time that Naruto got kissed by someone that is not her and she felt that it was unfair. She believed that she deserved to be with Naruto because she has been there for him through everything. She was there when his mother died, she was there when he got stabbed by his stalker. She was there when he was having hard time, and she was there when he was still alone. She wants to be there for the rest of his life and she felt afraid that she's losing him to these bitches. Who were not there when he needs someone. She realized that she don't like the idiot because she truly love him more than anyone and it kept growing every day. DJ. The screaming giant kept ran across the island. Even the underwater with muffled scream, and before he knows it, Izzy slapped across his face. Wah! DJ looked around to see that he was in some kind of tent. Dude, you're safe, Chris said with a grin. I am. DJ sighed, sitting down and flinched when he saw Chef in his psycho costume. It's just Chef, the host informed. He was gonna scare the bejabbers out of you, but apparently Heather beat him to it. Bro, did you see her face? The giant shivered. That was some serious ugly going on. True, but you still bailed before Chef even got a crack at you. Chris smirked. Speak of which, you're up, psycho man. Chef nodded and walks out with a smirk. Bathroom. Heather turns off the shower before give out a growl when she hears someone breathing heavily out of her shower stall. Not funny, pervert. Get lost. The sound of heavy breathing increased before she slammed the door open. I'm serious. Get lost, perv. She stared at the killer with widened eyes. Ellipsis. Ellipsis. Ah. Heather S. Screamed loudly before fainted on the spot. Chef shook his head as he picked the queen bee up and carried her to the monitor tent. Campfire. Heat-chan. Naruto blinked at the sound of his friend's scream. Ming as Gwen returned from her search for the large boys. Where's Lashana? The goth girl asked with her hands in air. She went to get some chow. Duncan jabbed his thumb at the main lodge. Oh, come on. Don't anyone even listen to me. Gwen huffed out as she sat down next to Naruto and crossed her arms. It wasn't long until they heard the screaming of the sassy girl. See, I told you to never go off alone. The goth girl groaned out, burying her head in hands. Woods. Ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. Owen hummed as his eyes glanced around for the truck. He never noticed that he was followed by the killer until the psycho tapped the oaf's shoulder. Oh, hey, did you see any ice cream truck? Owen blinked at the killer before give out a blood-curdling scream. Monitor's tent. Chef drag. The fainted oaf in the tent and dropped him. He is so going to have a nightmare after that. Chris chuckled. Dude shouldn't bail out on me early. DJ pointed out as they stared at downed Owen. Everyone better got a piece of brownies before he get up. Lashana said, taking one piece of brownies and ate it. Campfire. I guess DJ and Owen bit the dust. Gwen muttered as she crossed the said campers out. You know what really ticks me off? That I was trying to help them. Live and learn, sweetheart. Duncan smirked as he set the sticks on fire. You are really a pyro, aren't you? The goth girl placed her hands on hip. So, I like burning stuff. The punk shrugged. We could set his trailer on fire, Datbeo. Naruto whispered softly that not even the audio can pick it up. Gwen and Duncan glanced at each other with concern about the sulking redhead. So is that why you went to juvie for? Gwen asked the punk, trying to get Naruto away from something on his mind. Like I'd tell you why I went to juvie. Duncan scoffed. Accidentally set the chart on fire. Holy shit. Gwen ran off. I'll get water. Now it's down to us. The punk smirked as he stood up and walked toward the dock. Don't die, Whiskers. Whatever, Naruto muttered as Gwen ran back and doused the fire. Hey, where's Duncan? The goth girl looked around for the punk. He went off to looking for the psycho, Datbeo. The redhead sighed. You know what? Gwen throws her bucket down. I'm getting a sandwich. She takes a glance at the sulking redhead. Come with me, Naruto. The said boy sighed as he stand up and follow the goth girl to the main lodge. Main lodge. Gwen was making a sandwich and Naruto rested his head on the table with a frown. Naruto, did something happen? The goth girl walked to him and sat down to eat her sandwich. Nothing. It doesn't sound like nothing. I heard you saying that you want to shove someone's head in the wood chipper when we were talking about the death scene. What's the deal? I told you, it's nothing. Datbeo, Gwen sighed, placing her hand on his shoulder. Naruto, remember what you just told me back at the woods when I thought Trent was cheating on me? I want to repay you by helping you. The redhead glanced at her before he sighed. It's just that I'm really pissed at someone. This person won't accept the truth and said that it was just a lie, accused me of something that I'm not. It really make me angry at this person, Datbeo. Who? Gwen asked with raised eyebrow. I can't say who because it's really personal thing. Naruto sighed before they noticed that there was a person with chainsaw and a hook in the room with them. I wasn't born yesterday, dude. Please. We just watched a scary movie with an escaped psycho killer with a chainsaw and a hook, and here you were running around. The goth girl rolled her eyes and the redhead frowned at the psycho, noticing that person was white with purple hair. Where did the producers found this guy? Monitor's tent. Duncan peeked in the tent with a smirk and a hockey mask in his hand. Someone loses this. He faced against Chef on the dock and won the battle. Way to go. The campers cheered. Hey, Coolio. Izzy pointed at the monitor with a grin. Red and Gwen are taking on the psycho killer. Wait a sec. Duncan glanced at Chef. If Chef's in here, then who's in the lodge with them? Chris stared at the monitor with widened eyes. It's a real psycho killer and he was in the lodge with Naruto, his son. Naruto. The host screamed out and ran out of the tent, followed by the campers and the cooker. Gwen. Owen cried out. Naruto. If something happened to him, Kushina's ghost will kill me for good. Chris cried out to Chef. Never noticed some campers glanced at him with raised eyebrows, they never heard of Kushina person before. Main lodge. Back off, dude. I'm in foul mood, Datbeo. Naruto growled as the psycho killer stepped closer to him. Okay, I know the actors don't have speaking parts but you catch us at bad time. Gwen sighed, just come back at other time, FYI, invest in a dental plan and some toothpaste. The psycho killer take another step closer and the redhead growled at him. He just warned him that he was in a bad mood and don't want to deal with a bad actor. I told you to back off. Naruto roared, kneed the psycho killer in groin and headbutted him, breaking the mask in process. As soon as the killer dropped on his knees, holding his groin, the redhead round kicked him away and knocked him out. Gwen, Naruto. He's the real escaped psycho killer with a chainsaw and a hook. The group cried out. What? Gwen gasped, glanced at the downed killer. Naruto. Chris quickly hugged the said boy before hold his shoulders back and look everywhere on him. You're not hurt, aren't you? Did he hurt you at all? Naruto blinked at him with widened eyes and the host widened his eyes, glanced back at the confusing campers. Because we don't want you, to slap us with, lawsuit, yeah. Lawsuit is bad for us. He. The campers rolled their eyes, of course, he don't want anyone to sue him for money. Yeah, I'm good, Datbeo. Naruto glanced at the host, he knows that Chris was just covering up but it gave him a small hope that his father was starting to accept him. Behind the campers, Chef smirked at them. Campfire. The group watches the police offices. Carries the unconscious killer to the police boat and sailed away from the island. Well, it's obvious to everyone that Naruto wins invincibility. Chris said with a grin as he patted DJ's back, and, sadly, it's equally unanimous that DJ walked the dock of shame since he was only one who screamed and bolted without the escaped psycho killer even being there. The host chuckled, but no hard feelings, dude. You will be missed. Group hug. Owen said and everyone nodded before give DJ a group hug. Bye, DJ, we'll miss you, Datbeo. Naruto smiled at his giant friend. Yeah, me too, glad that you're okay now. DJ said as he walks toward the boat of losers and waved at his friends before it sailed off. Doc. Whoa, that was one crazy emotional ride for the campers. Chris grinned at the camera, there was so many anger, tears, and mushy stuffs. But our redhead camper is one lucky dude, can you believe that he just got 3 smooches from 3 different chicks? He chuckled, plus I'm sure that you, the viewers, said, about time. When Bridget finally confessed to him. Now we wonder what will happen next time. What would Izzy and Heather do to beat Bridget since she took the lead in Naruto's heart? Will Naruto finally make his decision? Who will be next to walk the dock of shame? Find out on Total Drama Island. Outside, Naruto sighed, he was so tired from emotional drain and he can't believe that a lot of things happened to him in just short time. He smiled a small smile before blinked at the incoming Queen Bee. Oh, He-chan. Idiot, Heather growled at him as she walks closer to him, answer me something. Sure. The redhead blinked again and the Queen Bee glared at him before pull his collar closer to her. Which one did you like the most? Nani. Did you like it when weird goth girl do this? Heather kissed him deeply, causing his eyes to widen. Did you like it when Klutzy do this? She gives him another kiss, this time a tenderly kiss. Or did you like it when Looney do this? Heather wrapped her legs around his waist and make out with the redhead. Is she grinding on him? Well. Heather stood up and glared at the blushing redhead. Ellipsis. Slowly. Heather's face turned red as she just realized what she just did. She just gave him her first kiss and, did she just grind it on him? Dee don't think deeply about these kisses. It was just a question. T's not like I love you or anything like that. She turns on her heels and ran away. It's just a kiss. Naruto dropped on his knee and screamed to the sky, am I in some kind of manga or something, Datbayo. Thanks for watching guys. Hope you all are enjoyed this video. If you do, please leave a like, share and subscribe. Also don't forget to support author of this fanfic. So let's end this video here. Until then, see you in next video.